on while the snacks is going.
Right, Ravi, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, then we are ready here and now. I hope we are broadcasting live on the internet. Welcome everybody to the commentary for round 5 of this year's British Chess Championship. We have a huge audience here in Aberystwyth, just waiting for the broadcast, and I hope you're all going to enjoy the chess this afternoon. So, welcome to Ravi.
Yeah, hello there. And I think just to catch up, Simon Williams did win that game.
Yeah.
Went for a long time, got down to like basic pawn, bishop and knight against bishop, rook and 2 pawns, and then Simon Williams won that, and I think that must be quite an achievement, isn't it? I mean, like, he could have gone for the easier option.
It was certainly a strange game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where both sides played in bizarre fashion the whole way through.
Yeah, and I think it's like, one look at it, you can see there's something wrong going rook h2 and then playing all that funny moves. But we could clearly analyze that. But I think probably when you're sitting in that pressure situation where you have to play a move and you are very reluctant to take a draw, sometimes this is what happens. I mean, like, I think that win by Simon Williams has made the tournament completely open. It's anybody's game. But I got to say that Hawkins is looking quite settled. He's on his
Well, he's an extremely strong player. He could easily have been installed as one of the pre-tournament favourites. It's very open this year. So we'll go on to the games this afternoon, and we're going to start with the game on board 1, which is of course between Jonathan Hawkins. He's fortunate enough to have white in this game against Fernandez, who in the last game with black did not impress. He played that really ropey old opening with the knight on e7 against Perk, and yet he managed to draw that game.
Yeah, he did manage to make a draw, and yesterday he had a good win.
But it was a miserable experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, miserable experience, and the key thing was he won yesterday, which has now put him in board 1 against Hawkins with black. And
well, I can't believe we're going to see any repeat of that rubbishy opening with knight e7.
So. And anyway, Hawkins played 1d4.
Okay. Perhaps hoping he'll put his knight on e7 as quickly as possible.
Yeah, g6.
Ah, okay, no knight e7 today.
Yeah, and I think this is like a psychological point. If you are a d4, c4 player, it shouldn't matter to you. I mean, if you know your opponent is definitely a d4, c4 player, this model does work with g6. Okay, and I have myself personally tried 1 g6. I know he's a d4, c4 player. He will never play e4, and can expect some kind of King's Indian with the tricky mode and here immediately Hawkins goes e4.
Okay, but I mean, Fernandez looks like the type of player who doesn't worry too much about theory. He just tries to get a position.
Yeah.
So the modern defence is very good for that. You can play any sort of old nonsense with the modern defence. Just put your pawns on the 3rd rank, hit bottom of style, and something will turn up. But anybody who's played that defence for any length of time will tell you that it's not easy to play. It's very difficult for beginners to play, and extremely difficult to play against very strong players, because all they'll sit there with more space. They won't try and smash you up. They'll just try and cramp you and run you out of counterplay, which they're very good at, of course. That's why they're so good. So the modern is not easy to play. It can be very rewarding, though, to play the modern. You can win some fantastic games with it, can't you, Ravi?
Yeah.
If white particularly tries to smash black up. So let's see what Hawkins plays. I expect a measured response.
Knight c3.
Inviting the sniper.
a6.
a6, there we are, which convinces us that Fernandez will try anything.
Knight f3.
Knight f3. Okay, there's the measured response.
d6.
Not getting sucked in with any nonsense.
And then now bishop d3.
Right, hang on. So that's the first unusual move, isn't it? So there was a book called Tiger's Modern, which came out a few years back. One of the best books ever written on the modern, where basically the Grandmaster Tiger Hill at Pearson recommended these setups with black, where you play an early a6, just to get out of theory, more or less, and play your own theory. And well, normal moves for white here: bishop e3, a4, things like that, bishop e2, even h3. Bishop d3 is rather unusual at this point, but I'm guessing that Hawkins is going to follow that up with a quick bishop e3. It's very unusual to put the bishop on a slightly passive square, because you're kind of protecting a pawn which is not attacked. So the bishop is a little bit more flexible on e2 or even on c4.
Yeah, I think that, bishop b3, I think I can see what is his idea. If black plays b5 and he wants his knight to go with rerouted to g3. So, for example, if now b5, white can simply play knight to e2 and then put the pawn on c3 and then get some kind of a rail-upper setup going with the knight on g3. So that is what,
Well, I'll tell you what, I can try and exploit the position of that bishop directly. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play here. And the reason I'm playing that move is to try and get back into a setup where the bishop on d3 is useful.
Bishop e3.
Now, obviously, you've got to be a little bit careful with that pawn. And if bishop e3, I'm going to go knight c6.
And then if I play knight e2, are you going to shatter?
What do you play? Knight where?
Knight c3 to e2.
Knight c3 to e2. What's that?
Yeah, that's not working either, isn't it?
That's a bad day at the office move. Well, you see, already black's putting a little bit of pressure on.
Yeah.
And normally you see white would push on with his pawns, but now isn't the bishop on the wrong square? So I mean, there's a line really in this position where no, in this position, no, it's even back here. Sorry, black plays d6, white goes knight f3, then black plays bishop g4 here. And if white plays bishop e3, knight c6, then bishop b5 is quite good for white. So if I put, I'm trying to make that bishop on d3 look like a wasted move. I don't particularly like that move. I'd be happy to see that as black. I don't see what white does against that move.
So bishop g4.
Yeah.
I think you are threatening bishop into d4. Bishop to f3. And
well, am I threatening bishop d4? Because of bishop b5 check, it's all a bit weird already. But you can't ignore that pawn forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't play h3, for instance. Well, you can play h3. I mean, that's the most likely move. Then bring the knight out. Now, what do you play? That's the thing. What do you play in this position, apart from d5? It's a little bit awkward, because black can always revert to another setup with e5 as well.
Yeah. Can I say what happens if I play knight e2?
Knight e2. Okay, let's give those pawns, make those pawns a mess.
Pawn takes.
Well, you know, I don't need to play e5 yet, do I? I mean, I can even play d5. You know, I'm not saying that's the best move, but I'm sure this is a fine position for black. What's wrong with it?
And I think such kind of an energetic response was what was needed, you know.
Well, it tries to make sense of black's position. I mean, if we turn the board round, always in the modern defence and King's Indian defence, you've got to keep an eye on the centre. What square in the centre should I be pressuring? You can't stay like this forever with black, sit on 3 rows. And at the moment, this pawn looks a bit weak, so it makes sense to put pressure on that square. I mean, it may be that knight c6 is also a move. And if d5, let's see, we could just put the knight in on e5, although that's a bit less convincing. No, bishop g4. Okay, this can work well if black fiddles around this move, bishop d3. So what did he do?
So I'm just going to check on what you have said, because you
don't do that,
I've got
please.
my chess base.
Chess base, who needs it?
And so the moves are e4. D4.
What did he play?
Okay, bishop d3. There's nothing in my book. Can you find any games with bishop d3?
Oh, there are bound to be some games. There we are, loads of games.
Yeah.
And in a lot of games, black's played bishop g4, which of course makes sense.
So what happened was bishop d3 just played calm knight d7, which I don't like, is being very passive there.
Well, you see, Fernandez, he just wants to play some sort of obscure game of chess. That's becoming clear.
Yeah.
He's a young guy, bucket loads of talent. He's probably too lazy to study theory. So he makes up his own theory. That's my best assessment of his style. You know.
So he plays...
That's how he plays. You know, fantastic talent, but pretty lazy. So
Hawkins plays knight...
He played knight d7.
When Hawkins plays castle...
Well, hang on. That makes life too easy for white. Now white should get an edge.
Yeah. I think we have a competition move next.
Castles?
Castles?
Yeah.
And now competition move.
Well, the trouble with the competition is you've got the game on screen there, Ravi.
Has anybody seen the move?
Because you can't fail to see it. It's right there.
No, I'm thinking it out.
I think we better call the competition off till half time, then we can turn off that screen, okay?
Right, so e6 was played. Would anybody in the audience have thought about e6? I mean,
It's the move that you set up, isn't it? We mentioned.
What's set up? Up hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus type thing.
Okay, so he's trying to dazzle him with science here. All the pawns go to the third row. Knight comes to e7. Show me what you've got.
so rook e1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I also ask about? Is this? He's an international master. Is he from Spain or?
Fernandez?
Yeah.
Singapore.
He's
And
from Singapore.
He went to school in this country.
So he's just come back. Is he still studying in this country or?
He just left Manchester Grammar last year, I think. Is that right? I believe so. Sorry? I think he is.
I am
he has to be, yeah. Not quite as strong as Fernandez. No. Well, okay, White's nursing a slight edge, but in these hippopotamus positions, you know, it's game on. Nothing's clear.
Yeah. So rook e1, knight e7.
Oh, he got the knight to e7 after all, his favourite square, in a slightly less rubbishy version than the other day. All right, go on then.
And he's got a connection with that e7 square. Is it in
loves it.
round 1 has he put knight e7? Can anyone verify? So he's put knight on e7 in every game.
He'll be struggling to get it to g6 in this game.
Okay.
All right,
So
a4.
So Hawkins says e5. Now it's time for me to
He played e5.
e5, d5.
Now, hang on, so that's very early in the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so this is quite unusual. Normally White would be building up, just playing a4 or maybe h3 or bishop g5. That move is very sharp. But of course, Black's passive, you know, so White can afford to do that. He's making sense of rook e1.
Yeah. So my question is, he played d5 in the game. Can he not leave it and just castle? That's my point. Can he not leave the pawn on d6?
Okay, well, bishop g5 makes sense to me.
Bishop g5. I can't get my bishop on c8, can I? Are you threatening bishop f6? Anything? Nothing. Can I just play b6 now?
b6. Well, it's certainly consistent. Don't know. I'm thinking about knight e4. I don't know how good that is. Don't know. I'm not sure I would have crossed that halfway line without developing a few more pieces first.
So I mean, the point I'm making is, if he can't hold the pawn on d6, what he played is a forced move, and he's now left himself quite weak in all the dark squares.
I mean, could White just play, I don't know, knight to e4 or something like that? No, he can't, because the pawn on e5 is hanging. All right, bishop f4 then. Let's try bishop f4. Put a bit of pressure on. I more or less force you to go d5, can't I?
I'm thinking now, if you put the bishop on f4, knight b6. My intention is to keep the pawn on d6. Then, you know, if I can maintain that, then, you know, I mean, you're not going to get anything with d5. And then,
well, queen to d2. It looks very ropey for Black, this.
Yeah. So that's the point, you know, I mean, if you're going to come at my king, that's the major point, isn't it?
I am going to do that. Bishop h6.
So
then get on with it.
So I agree that d5 might be his only chance, having seen all this kind of build up. But what's going to happen? But, like, you know, the next move.
No games found already. So they're outdoing themselves in originality here.
And now Hawkins plays that knight e2, which is a typical idea of a knight going to the king's
side. Hang on, so d5 by Black, this is the game. Right?
Yeah, knight e2.
Yeah, and already I start to prefer White.
Yeah.
It's like a very ropey French defense, isn't it?
Yeah, and then Black played c5.
c3.
White played c3.
Yeah.
And Black played b5.
So could Black, in Nick Perk style, be going to castle the queen side here?
Yeah. But the thing is, you know, he can't castle king side. He knows he will get completely locked out. But what is he trying here? Is he going to have a breakthrough on b4?
Well, I think he's got his usual very poor position out of the opening with Black, you know.
So what should White play here?
To be absolutely frank, I don't like this. What should he play?
Should he play bishop g5 or bishop e3 and then queen d2 and then continue normally?
Well,
Because one of the things black can do is to get his knight on c4.
for instance, just let's say, what if I play a4? I mean, against that, you have to play c4, don't you?
Yeah, c4.
All right,
and then I want
bishop
to play
c2.
Knight b6.
And now what, rook b8?
Now I prefer knight b6. I don't mind you exchanging a pair of rooks as long as I can play in Kochnoy style, king d7, king c6.
Okay, you could do that sort of stuff.
It's quite unusual that, but Kochnoy does this quite a bit. Closes the position and then the king goes and stays in c6. It's quite safe.
Okay, maybe not a4 then, I don't know. I'd have to think about it carefully. What do you think the best move for white is?
I mean, I think that, I mean, he's definitely not going to castle. I can see that he's not going to castle. And the reason he's played b5 is he's hoping to put the king on c6 after c4, knight b6, king d7. And unless you have some kind of crushing attack, I don't think you are. So Hawkins plays the most natural.
But what if I went just knight g3?
But knight g3, then you don't threaten or aim to go anywhere.
Well, I'm going to play bishop g5. I'm just going to carry on trying to provoke you there. What did he do?
He played knight f4.
Knight f4. Okay. Is he thinking about knight g5 and bringing his queen out?
I think some kind of a sack on e6 is not at that time, but when he's ready.
Knight comes in, maybe some action there. All right, keep going. Or is that it?
Is that knight f4? And from the way it looks of it, I mean, like,
It just looks terrible for black
it
somehow.
looks bad for black because you're black against a good informed 25-15, which means a difference of 119 points, Elo.
I think Fernandez genuinely thinks he can outsit these people. You can just sit there with a rubbishy position, keep defending, and then outlast them.
I think in the last year's British, you remember he had a longish game against Dwayne Jones, and then he made a draw eventually.
I'm struggling to see what black does here even. h6, can he play h6? Knight g5 might be a threat already.
Yeah,
I mean, if you play,
let's
let's say you play bishop b7, that's probably a ropey move. Now, can we go knight g5?
Can I here play h6, just non-committal move h6?
Now?
Yeah.
Aren't you getting crushed with knight e6?
No, before you, I'm saying I don't want to play bishop b7. I want to play h6. Stop your knight g5.
Right.
I have my options open.
Okay, you can do that, of course.
That's what I'm hoping, that he needs to expand himself. But even after h4, you don't have anything like h5, g5. I'm happy with that structure. So I'm hoping that knight f4, h6 is the right move. And then...
Well, what if I play bishop e3, trying to provoke you here?
Yeah, bishop e3, I'm quite happy to play c4.
You're going to block again?
Yeah, c4. And then knight b6. See, you put your pieces there. You don't have f4, g4, f5. You're quite far away. My king is going to go to c6.
All right. I mean, let's look at this from a normal strategic point of view. White's got better development, more space, and probably a safer king. So using every yardstick, he's better. But obviously black's position is quite difficult to crack. So I imagine if we call up the computer, they don't necessarily understand these positions where it's all blocked up, but it'll probably give some advantage to white. That's what I'm guessing. Let's just see. Okay, substantial advantage. I didn't expect that. I expected 0.7 or something. And quite rightly so. I mean, look at the position. Black's passive. He's waiting for white to do something, then he's going to try and pick him off. But I mean, that's no way to play against a really strong player. No. That was not the case, because black could have adopted a much more aggressive strategy here by playing bishop g4.
But he knew he wasn't going to. When he sat down, just almost like a
Yeah, he probably didn't do any sort of preparation. Just plays the hedgehog and turn up and see what happens.
So is Fernandez hoping for some passive play and eventually get a draw? Is that what he's hoping?
No, he's hoping for White to overstretch, and he's going to win.
Yeah,
that's it. But
so I mean, that's my h6 move fit the bill then.
Is he played h6?
He hasn't played. I'm saying that looks very nominal because you're coming knight g5, and I'm not sure that you sack on. You see, when you play the...
Well, you've got to find a move with black. I think white is threatening knight g5 and then bring the queen out.
Yeah, so h6.
h6 stops knight g5. That's its sole purpose. It's got no other purpose. Weakens black's position otherwise. It's just a ropey position for black. Oh, you can. I can't play knight g5.
Sorry.
Why can't I?
Oh.
Let's go to.
Let's go to San Francisco. I will play it.
Is he going to sacrifice on? Right. Let me play Queen e7 there. You know.
Queen e7.
Overprotect.
Okay. Let's get this guy. Queen
d8, knight d8. That's my plan. Do not sacrifice on e6.
I'm waiting for you to take the d pawn.
So I will play Queen g4 now.
Well, you might take the d pawn. I'm a bit afraid about that. Well, I don't need to pull anything out of the hat. What about just moving the bishop? Give him h6 for free. I don't know. You'd have to give this careful thought with white. It really is not easy. I mean, because black's position is pretty solid. The position's closed, isn't it? But to a degree, white's got to open it up.
Years ago, your English grandmaster Michael Steve, he said that some players are better at swindling their way out of bad positions than others. And I feel this is the case with Fernandez. He feels he has this sort of suffering gift.
He likes this sort of stuff, yes.
Yeah, he tries to sort of swindle himself out.
You're probably right.
He's just this, as Michael Steve said.
Well, he played knight c6, which stops knight g5. Which,
sorry, I don't understand. Why does it stop knight g5? We're just looking at this.
Knight g5, queen g5.
Is this possible? What if I go and put the boot in like this? Come on.
Knight takes d5. Okay, e takes d5.
Hello.
e6, castle.
Boo hiss. Okay. Well, it still looks rubbishy for black. I'm going to take on c5. Mess up your pawns. This is terrible for black. What are you doing?
Well, I have to play bishop into d7.
Alright, let's whip this off.
b4.
Yeah, okay. It still looks ropey for black, doesn't it?
For black, but you know, I mean, you would be happy to get something like that.
Would I?
Yeah, I mean, like Hawkins.
You
know, Hawkins is not going to do anything drastic to change the position, as we've seen him. You know, he's a slowly, you know, he will build up, he'll find the moves that creates the thing. And
the computer's not liking this position for white at all. No, for black, sorry.
No, but you know, this is what.
So he played 11 knight c6.
Yeah.
So he's obviously just encouraging knight takes d5, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just encouraging it. E takes d5, e6. And now, according to this, just knight f6. Keep calm.
I don't think we play knight d5. Should he be playing bishop e3, which is the most natural move here?
Well, h4 is recommended by the computer, or bishop e3.
So what's wrong with bishop e3?
Nothing.
Could you play knight e5 from the idea of queen e7, don't take queen e5?
Yeah, we just looked at that. You can do that. Also is nice for white, according to the computer. Yes. Well, all right. So white's got an interesting choice.
Okay.
So let's move on.
So we have
Perk versus Ems.
Yeah, and you know, after Ems winning that game quite nicely yesterday.
Very nice. Very clean, wasn't it?
Very nice. And I think I was, when I went back and I looked at the game, And I was quite surprised by the decisions, you know, especially number 1 CD5. Then before he did that, the bishop in F1, you know, those are moves were very committal. And then he simply walked into a rook endgame where he had no counterplay and opponent had everything. So today, Ems is playing a King's Indian. Oh, sorry, a King's Indian type of structure. So D4, NF6, NF3, C5, D5, G6.
But normally plays knight C3 here.
Yeah, and he did play knight C3, D6.
So this is a Schmidt-Benoni, isn't it?
Yeah, knight C3, D6.
E4?
E4.
Yeah.
And he went bishop G4.
Bishop G4 straight away?
Yeah, bishop E2.
Okay, hang on, so that's a bit unusual. Okay, this must be the idea then. This is his preparation for the game. I have seen Black do this, and he's going to take the knight off as quickly as possible.
So White has to play bishop E2, which is what he did, you know, I mean.
Well, you see, the thing is, if Black goes bishop G7 here, quite good for White is bishop B5 check. It's a little bit awkward for Black, that move, because you never get the chance to get rid of your bishop. Because if you go bishop D7 here, we can play A4. It's a little bit awkward, bishop B5 check. I've suffered. I lost to Nick Perk in this line myself with Black, and he knows it pretty well.
So bishop G4.
Bishop G4
forces
forces the exchange of bishop for knight. Bishop B5 check, knight BD7.
And then A4.
Well, then you go bishop G7.
And then you're happy to play bishop F3, queen F3.
Yeah, that's the idea. I want to take the knight off. So what did he do?
He just played bishop B2.
Yeah, took the knight.
Bishop G7.
Didn't take the knight. Okay.
Castle, castle. And solid opening move, bishop F4. Getting the bishop to a very nice square.
Yeah.
Knight A6. And knight D2. And I think I don't like him allowing that knight D2 on.
I just don't. Why did he not take the knight off? I mean, that's one of the main points of this line.
Yeah, one of the main lines, bishop F3, bishop F3.
For instance, more thematic would be something like bishop takes F3, bishop takes F3, maybe knight FD7.
Yeah. But
and then go knight A6.
Yeah, White is quite happy, isn't it, in that position with bishop F3, bishop F3.
Yeah, but once you've gone bishop G4, this is about the best you can get.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's wrong if I just played queen D2 and...
Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. My Black just gets on with his plans.
And then if I played bishop F6?
Well, I just have to go B5 and take the medicine, you know.
Yeah. So I have to stop it with A4.
A4 and
A6.
now, well, or rook B8, which one? If I go A6, he's going to go A5.
So, yeah, okay.
Oh, rook B8.
Rook B8.
I mean, everything hinges here on whether White can get E5 in. You know, if he gets that move in, Black can be just cramped for room. But that's the point of this line, to take off the knight and stop him from playing E5. And if he can't play E5, then I think I'm doing okay. I mean, you go bishop H6, then what do? We go, we're going to play this the slow way or the quick way? The slow way is B6. You go A6, let him play A5, chops this off, sorry. B5,
8x B6.
takes, rook takes. To me, this doesn't look like much for White.
Yeah, I mean...
You can't play E5 yet, you've got bishop here.
Rook A2, I'm just coming for the slow burn.
A2. Oh my God.
Slow burn. Roast him up nicely on the queen side.
Yeah, sure.
Queen B8.
You're not roasting, is he?
B3. B3.
B3. Wake me up when you've got a threat. This is okay for Black.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of play, you know.
Yeah.
Much more play than I normally get in the Schmidt-Benoni. Okay, so let's go back to the game. It is slightly surprising that he didn't take on F3 and allowed Perk to play knight D2. And this is a very desirable exchange for White, the exchange of light square bishops, because it means he can plonk a knight on C4 and nothing can shift it.
Yeah, that knight coming on C4 is going to do a vast amount of damage. Because once the
Well,
knight
it might
gets
do.
to
It
C4...
might do.
Huh?
It might do.
It might. It will.
Is that your...
That's my prediction today. Knight
Okay.
goes to c4 and
Right,
then,
you heard it here first.
So-
Ravi thinks instant resignation will be fought once that knight gets to
so
C4.
bishop e2, queen e2,
Okay,
knight c7, a4,
yeah.
and in comes e6, which is, I think this is forced. And
E6,
he's
alright.
thinking now because he is hoping something like ed.
Right, well, if I go knight c4 straight away, have you got to block the position? No.
Can I play ed5?
I think the move I want to play is to take on e6, but maybe that's...
Take on e6, fe6, and then
Do you think so? I think he might take with the knight. Because he's attacking the bishop. It's a special
and then
circumstance.
he's going to put the knight on d4, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. That doesn't look so bad.
We need a good positional move here.
Well, I mean, this bishop takes d6 as well. I doubt that's any good.
I mean,
let's just see. What's
Can I
happening
just
here?
play queen f3, which is a solid move?
Well, let's have a look at this first. It's probably not good enough, is it? You're letting the black pieces out, aren't you? Or are you?
No, I don't like this one.
For who? Keeping your options open there.
Yeah, but queen.
I don't know. You know, it's in the position. Well, I mean, black's threatening he takes d5, so you know you have to do something. My first thought is, what about that?
That ed5.
Yeah, that's a slight problem, isn't it? Because if I go here,
Yeah, and then I like to go d4.
well, this is also a move. And then we get some very unclear play coming out.
I think I mean, white Perk will look at queen f3, which holds that d5 square. He's not in a hurry. Knight can come to c4 or move later.
We've had a couple of games with this line, apparently. Not especially high-rated games, but in both games, white played queen to d3. Just holding the pawn, getting the queen off the e file, just in case black took on e5, d5 and played rook e8.
So queen d3, e d5, knight d5. Is that your plan?
I don't think I want to let the guy exchange pieces. No, I'm going to take with the pawn. If you take on d5, I'm going to take with the pawn. Keep you slightly boxed in. Now, surely I'm threatening knight c4 now.
Yeah. I think either queen d3 or queen f3 is sufficient. The thing I like with queen f3 is it keeps an eye on the long diagonal as well.
Well, queen f3 would be a new move. That's not to say it's weaker than the other moves at all. I suppose queen d3 keeps an eye on b5, doesn't it?
Yeah, queen d3 is also possible. Rather, the queen on d3 is more useful rather than the queen on f3.
Well, perhaps. Okay, the computer thinks queen d3 may be marginally better, but both of those moves are sensible. So we're looking to white to play his queen to either f3 or d3. We slightly prefer d3 just to maintain the pawn on d5, which keeps black a little bit cramped. And really, after queen d3, you know, black can block the position, but that does that not play into white's hands, Ravi? Blocking the position?
Yeah, that would be
Bishop g5.
Bishop d5 and then knight c4, and then you keep on playing this for
Never.
forever.
All right, so let's move on. So the position is after e6. We're waiting for
No more moves.
No. Williams tan. Well, I saw Williams yesterday. He took risks and he got away with it. He won.
So
fortune favours the brave.
Does he get the reward that having beaten a very strong GM? Now he's paired up against Tan.
Well, Tan is proving, very formidable in this tournament.
Yeah, but Sam Williams is tough form, isn't it?
Well, with white, he would, I think, expect to win. So let's see what he came out with.
So he came up with d4.
Yep.
d5, c4, c6, knight c3, knight f6.
Okay, so this is already an interesting decision by white. Because you might think, by far the most common move here is knight f3.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. The reason is that black can take on c4 in this position. And after a subsequent b5, the knight on c3, you know, is liable to be attacked. So whenever you play knight c3, it's not a routine move. You've just got to be aware that black could take on c4. It's just a question of what he wants to do. So what did he do? I think my impression of Tan is he's quite a solid player.
Okay.
So he might not go for this wild line.
So he played knight c3, knight f6.
Okay, so far, fair enough.
Knight f3, dc4.
Now we've got the main line of the Slav. a4.
a4 played. Bishop f5.
Right, this is the main line, yep.
e3.
Also main line.
e6, bishop c4, bishop b4.
Hang on, bishop c4, bishop b4, yep.
Castle.
Yep.
Knight b7. And in this position, Karpov used to prefer that knight h4 and going after the bishop. And there's a couple of games where he's won nicely. Knight h4, bishop d4, f3, bishop h5, c4.
Well, there are several moves for white here. One's queen e2. That's the main line, isn't it?
He played queen e2.
Knight h4 is the old main line. I think about 20, 30 years ago, that was played quite commonly here, wasn't it? Like you say. And there's also queen b3. So queen e2 was played by Williams?
Queen e2 played.
Yep.
Bishop g6.
Okay. Stepping away from e4.
e4.
Played e4, yes. Now that is a pawn sacrifice, isn't it, Barry?
Yep.
Because if black wanted to be very bold, or possibly foolhardy, he could take that pawn. Let's just see. Grabbing a pawn like this is kind of playing into Williams's hands. That's the problem.
So you can't castle.
And now...
Is that the only compensation you have?
Well, I've got two bishops. I think I've got a nice attack as well.
Yeah. So as long as he can maintain the bishop on the a3 diagonal.
I mean, it's a serious compensation, isn't it? Isn't it? It's not the only compensation. It's quite a serious thing that black can't castle here, surely.
Yep.
So I don't think we'll see black taking that pawn. He'll probably castle. What did he do?
So he castled, and then white played bishop d3.
He castled and then came bishop d3.
Yeah. And then black played c5.
Okay.
e5.
Okay, so this is already a bit messy, isn't it? Sometimes they go knight a2 in a position like this, but probably with the bishop on d3, it's not that great. So e5. Okay.
So e5 is quite sharp, isn't it?
Very sharp, but it's very much in Williams' style.
So e5 is cd4.
C takes d4, yes. Just a quick check. Lots of games. Okay, so they're following theory.
Bishop times g6.
That's one of the unusual moves here. Bishop g6 is unusual. E takes f6 is normal.
Bishop takes g6, h takes g6.
Okay, we've got to go through this very slowly because there are pieces attacked all over the place. Ace takes g6, yes.
And then he took the knight on f6.
Okay, takes on c3.
Black took on c3.
Yes.
And he took on g7.
Okay.
And the king took on g7.
Okay.
And now he played this queen e3, getting the queen into play.
Threatening queen d4 check, winning
Yeah,
a piece.
and I think that the problem now is that he's now threatening rapid queen f6 check and knight g5. So
Right, so the queen on de3 threatens queen d4 check, picking up a piece. Queen h6 check, which looks really dangerous, and then possibly knight g5. So we'll have a quick check on this. Has this been played? One game between two unknowns, unless Mr. Urbieta or Mr. Seitua are sitting in this room. I've never heard of them. Anybody heard of these guys? No. Okay, so apparently this game was drawn after queen f6.
So he played queen e3, queen f6.
Queen f6, they know their theory, these lads.
Yeah, and then bc3, bishop into c3.
Hang on, queen f6. Pawn takes pawn, yes.
Bishop into c3.
Rook b1.
And now rook a3 is what Williams just played.
Rook a3. Okay. Well, this is a very sharp position, isn't it?
I mean,
I must admit that at first sight, it looks much better for white, but of course, black's a pawn up, you know.
So what is black's problem? Find a good square for the knight on d7. Number two, he's got a problem on the long diagonal, and I don't think the bishop can stay on the long diagonal unless he goes bishop a1.
Well, I can go bishop b2. I think bishop a1, that could be taken straight away. Then bishop d2, and I would have thought that's curtains. I don't think you can do that. I think
So
I'm going to
bishop
sack this.
engine?
Let's see this. Never mind about the engine. Let's look at this. Black's taking the engine out of town in this position. You've had it.
So rook a3, bishop.
Now let's see. There's something like this. Bang, bang, bang. Is black coming back from this? Doubtful. So, could he play bishop b2?
Yeah. That's the question he must be thinking. Bishop b2.
Well, I'll get my pawn back by just taking and going rook b3. So I don't know whether that's any good. Is that okay? Minimum I can play this.
Queen check.
You think a check's better first, but then I can't play rook b3.
Well, so you do queen check, queen back, knight g5, and
But-
go to h3.
Yeah.
Then he goes queen g7.
The other part that in this one which worries me is the weakness on the long diagonal. You know, I mean that is.
Ah, no. Is this a mistake? Why? What if I go check first? King g8. It's going to hang by a thread here, isn't it? Knight g5. That's not it. He can still go there. I'm just one move away from finishing this game, but I don't think I can do it. What you could do is go check, then take this. Let's drag his queen right away from the action. Now this is the sort of position that Williams would love. Something like this. He has to come back and now just move the queen with the idea of swinging that rook across there, something like that. How's that?
Yeah, it's quite.
Don't forget, white's a pawn down though. That's the problem.
But I think Williams is quite used to playing this kind of position, having to prove compensation, isn't it? I mean, he's more experienced in this kind of moment of play.
Well, I suppose.
And Black has to find some good moves there.
Well, let's try rook a c8. Let's try put the rook on
He
c8.
played rook of c8 in the game.
Rook fc8.
Yeah, rook of c8.
Right. Well, that's basically to give his king a flight square, if need be, isn't it? His king wants to run away sometimes, so that's the reason he puts that rook on c8. Now,
If I go queen at 6 check, king g8, bishop g5, what happens?
well, that's an interesting point. I was going to play the check certainly, and now just to get this bishop out. I'm quite intrigued by this exchange sack. Bishop g5, yes? Is that what you wanted to do?
Yep.
All right, got to go there. Or maybe I don't have to go. Maybe I could play slightly unstereotyped move here. But now, of course, you've got moves like rook c3. Don't know.
Looks very.
Black's holding on.
So he's played rook of c8, and you know Simon Williams has to prove his.
Let's see if there's a force win,
Yeah.
which we can't see. Likes black. Incredibly, you know, maybe not. It's changing its mind as usual.
So.
It's interesting. It likes rook takes c3.
So
That's an
can
interesting
I
move.
play? Andrew, can I play queen at 6 check, king g8, rook takes c3?
Look, it's changed its mind completely. It likes rook takes c3 straight away.
Yeah. And then rook takes c3, and then queen at 6 check.
Now let's just check these lines because if queen takes c3, just queen takes queen, and bishop b2, that is very clear cut, isn't it? So he cannot take with the queen, so he must take with the rook. And then we go check, king g8, and now bishop b2. He doubles up. We go knight g5. This looks very, very forcing, doesn't it?
Queen g7.
And if queen g7 here, we just take the queen off and then pin the rook again. Okay, so that's very clear cut. So knight g5, he can't play queen g7. He's got to allow the check on h7. So knight b6, which takes nerves of steel, of course.
So did he miss rook on c3?
Well, just a sec. Let's keep going with this. It's not clear. Now white goes knight e4. And now black's going to lose the exchange, isn't he? But he'll have some compensation here. Queen comes in. We take this. He takes this. We take this. He takes this. Rook d1. I presume knight d5. Oh no, rook c1 wins straight away after that. Yeah, Williams is going to go for this. He won't.
Yeah.
He won't miss out on the opportunity to play rook takes c3. I'll tell you
He
that.
played rook into c3.
He's played it already, has he? Okay, well, it doesn't surprise me.
I mean, if he wins this game quite quickly, he's going to be nicely positioning himself at the top, isn't it?
Well, okay, so black cannot take with the queen. That loses straight away. Bang, 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 bang. So he's got to take with the rook now.
Then
It all looks very straightforward. Check and put the bishop on the long diagonal. And he's really struggling here, black, to find a good move. He's going to have to play these moves, you know, knight b6 and rook c8. And now, knight e4 wins
no,
the
I don't
exchange.
like this spin on the long diagonal. That's what I don't like.
Stop rook takes f3.
Yes.
When?
Back, rook takes f3.
And then give up the queen.
Yeah, but that's only two pieces. You don't get the rook. Oh, you do. Let's have a look at that. So rook takes f3. Bishop takes f6. Rook takes f6. Rook d1. Knight f8. Rook d4. Rook 1 chess. Okay, so this is strong.
So we got a couple more moves there. Rook takes c3, rook takes c3.
Okay, forced.
Queen h6 check, king g8. And
Wait a minute, hang on. Well, we'll go. That could happen, couldn't it? It could happen. Now bishop b2, yes. He checks first. No, hang on. Bishop b2. What was he thinking?
he's checked first on h6.
Yeah, king g8.
Yeah, now he's played bishop b2.
Okay.
I think he's looked at this because he's playing
No, well, I don't know. That would be underestimating Simon's capabilities. I think he's terrific.
I mean, if he wins this one,
This is
he's
his
got-
position, you know.
Yeah, I'm saying because he played rook a3.
Well, let's see. Rook a3. What have we got
It's
here?
obviously gone into that
One old game, which went exactly like this. The game Esipenko versus Roshko. He might have had it on the books. That's a 2014 game. Anyway, we know this is trademark play by Williams, opening up the position. So bishop b2, and now black is struggling. He's got to double up. He's got to play knight b6 and double up, right? He's going to double up. Or you suggest rook takes f3.
Rook takes f3, bishop f6, rook f6, rook d1.
Rook d1, yes.
Third is rook d4, rook h4.
g5, but the queen takes pawn check.
And then rook g6. And then you can
Queen b5. Queen b5 is horrible. My queen will, you know, lay your queen side to waste. You can't play that. You've got to try and. No, this is terrible now. It's like there's no rook somewhere, there or there. I'm not sure which. Let's do that. I agree. I think you should try and find an alternative. But honestly, let's have a look at knight e5. Try and keep the rook out. Just f4. Knight g4, queen g5. The problem is the rooks are disconnected, aren't they? Black's rooks are not working with each other. In fact, all of black's pieces are in ridiculous positions. No, I think this is looking very promising for white already. Well, if he doubles up, knight comes in. He's got to go knight b6.
I mean, we don't see this kind of position on the chessboard, isn't it? in the British Championship. Here is Williams, bishop on the long diagonal. Probably this is going to be, if you know, I hope he wins, and it's probably going to be shown how to use the diagonal and you know how to use the queen. I mean,
well, the thing is, in this position, does White want his queen on h6 or h7? Because he can win the exchange. He can win the exchange in two different ways, can't he? He can leave the queen on h6, or he can check first. Now, which is stronger?
so the question I want to ask is that if what happens if you play rook a c8 and you play knight g5 and I play knight f8, you have knight e4 then.
Knight f8.
Yeah, then knight e4 is it?
Knight e4. This is looking stronger now. The only reason you'd ever put your knight on f8 is to try and defend your king. So I'm just going to gobble the exchange this time. Take the exchange. Now, not that move, sorry. And now we just need a good move. Well,
Just queen c1.
I'm just going to move this
No,
guy
queen
here.
c1.
This
Yeah,
is
queen
fine.
e3. Just exchange and go to that kind of an end game where you know, I mean, it looks like an early, early day in the office for Williams, and he should be able to.
Any more moves?
We use the same time in the week, so I'm using the exchange down and 5 days later we exchange up.
Is that right?
Can you do something in the play now?
It could be.
Yesterday was an exchange down, and today is an exchange down.
It was a much longer period of time before he was exchange up, wasn't it? Against Howe. This is like instant change of material balance.
And the dynamics of the position is looking very good. You see, the knight is very nicely placed on f3, the bishop on the long diagonal.
If I size Tan up correctly, I think he's looking at rook takes f3 and trying to find some way to hold that, because he must know that the other line is bad. So let's run this again. So here, 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 and now, okay, I can check, right? I can do this. Now, is that better or worse? Let's see, and then go here. My best guess is it's worse because the queen's a bit out of play down there. So I think I'll keep the queen on h6. Yeah. Any particular reason?
Knight c5 was like that.
Knight e5. Well,
So what happens if I just play knight g5? Is there something to knight g5 after knight d5?
Black's got a lot of pieces on that diagonal. Okay, well, okay. I don't know. Starting to look a bit fishy. Sorry? Rook where? Rook b3. That's mate though, is the bishop takes e5. Check and queen f7. Okay, so black has some really serious defensive problems.
Okay,
Any more moves?
no more moves. And then we go to Hebden.
Okay.
And
Who clearly did not like his defeat the day previous. Came back yesterday with a crushing win against Tim Kett. I expect something equally aggressive today. So,
d4 nf6,
okay,
c4 g6,
all right,
nc3 bd7,
wow,
e4 d6,
all right,
f4, 4 pawns.
four pawns attack. Okay,
I mean, is this the best way to play Hebden? You know, Hebden is anyway going to play for a result. So do you go with the 4 pawn attack rather than, you know, outmaneuver him in, you know, I don't know. So
well, Hebden normally plays knight a6 against these lines. He normally castles knight f3, knight a6.
Yeah. So, you know, here you have James Jackson, 23-20 against Mark Hebden. You know, possibly prepared this quite a bit. And then he's gone f4 straight away. And then Edwin now played c5 before castling.
Really? Okay, so that's slightly unusual.
c5, d5.
For Hebden, I meant. Not that it's unusual here, but it's not. But so d5.
c5, d5.
Yeah.
Castle. Knight f3, e6. Bishop e2.
Hang on. Knight
Knight
f3, e6. Yeah.
Bishop e2, e d5.
Yeah.
cd5. I know, you know, the older move with e5 and all that's been put to rest. It was just one fancy game that you know, got to go to e5 rather than take on d5.
What do you mean in this position?
Yeah.
That's good Durham's move, isn't it? Yeah. All right, he didn't do that. He played c takes d5. Bishop g4.
Yeah, he did play bishop g4. Castle.
Okay.
Knight bd7.
Yeah.
h3. Bishop f3. Bishop f3. And now he went 98. He's threatening.
Right, where? 98.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a slightly unusual move in this position. Normally it's a6. Not rook e8, note. You can play rook e8, but White's protecting that e4 pawn quite a bit. You know, generally the king's Indian. You have to think carefully about moves like rook e8. When he's not protecting that pawn, it can be a good move. But with White protecting the pawn, it can often be a waste of time to play rook e8. So a6 is quite normal as well, or even queen a5. I've seen both of those moves played.
A blank my screen competition move, please.
So you've blanked the screen, excellent. Okay, now we can see all the programs on your computer, which should be fun for the audience. 98, and now competition. Okay, what are we offering? We seem to have a lot of goodies this afternoon.
No, I'm offering that they can see their face in the camera, if I can get the camera right. So they don't. Okay. Variety of choices. You know, Chess Cafe's book. Chess Cafe, best of 1996, Heroic Tales. No.
All right then. Okay, so we want White's next move, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, over to you.
G4, getting on with it.
G4. We've had G4 here from this gentleman.
So what's the motivation for
Getting
G4?
on with it.
He wants to win a book.
Okay.
Did he play G4?
Yeah.
He played G4? That wasn't much of a competition, was it?
I think that's...
You don't play the grog, do you?
No.
Oh.
I'll do one.
So when for G4?
Getting on with it, you say. Exactly.
Kingside attack?
You know, the reason was that, you know,
I don't see the attack.
you know, this is a bit too early for
Did he play G4?
yeah, he did play G4.
Well, that's one of the worst competitions I think I've ever seen. They guessed it the first time.
No, the gentleman went directly for the kingside attack.
One might even suspect he saw it in the tournament. All right, round of applause for our friend there. Who rivals Mystic Meg for his predictive abilities.
G4,
G4.
Knight C7.
Hang on, not G3. That's probably much worse. G4. Let's have a look. Boom. Anish Giri versus Frizo Naibur is the highest rated game.
And he lost.
And he lost. Black played Knight C7 or A6 in most games. What did Hebden play?
Knight C7.
Yeah.
A4. A6.
Okay.
And now the cool Bishop E3.
Cool move.
Yeah, we're out of Anish Giri's game, or we still?
No games found.
Yeah, so it's possibly. And now Rook B8.
Rook B8. Well, we know what Black's aiming for. B5.
Yeah, it's like thematic play, isn't it? White's trying to crowd Black, and he's eventually trying to get that E5, F5 structure. I know G4 is a bit aggressive, as the gentleman said, but I don't see the point what G4 has achieved here.
Well, what White normally does in this setup is play G5, a G5, H4, and put the bishop on G4. I've seen that happen a few times.
It's the only thing that G4 has achieved is it stop F5 strike by Black.
What was the normal move? Is it the new bishop E3?
Well, I think so. Let's have a look. Queen E2, Bishop E3. Bishop E3 is the main move, but G4's been played quite a bit. Okay, Knight C7. I mean, Black's plan seems very straightforward, doesn't it? Just go for B5. Now, what's White going to do? Let's say he goes on with his idea, G5. All right, so black's going to play B5 right now. What do? Do you take that or not? I'm not quite sure I should be putting my pieces with white. It's one of those positions. It looks okay, but it could fall apart at any moment, couldn't it? Going to take that pawn or leave it?
I guess leave it.
In that case, you've got to find a move.
But I think I would rather play what happened in the game, which is Queen D2. G5 is too early.
If you ask me, G4 is too early.
No, G4 is too early. G5, F5. What's wrong with F5 for G5?
G5, F5?
F5.
I take it.
And take with the pawn.
Yeah, but that gives me a very useful pawn couplet here. So maybe H4, Rook E8, Bishop F2. I mean, I don't know. It's all very unclear, but I quite like this idea of pushing the pawns on the king side. So what did he do? He played Queen D2, you say? Move
Yeah,
16?
he played Queen D2.
I'll tell you why I didn't like that. The idea of knight B6 at some point. So go B5, yes?
B5, AB5, AB5.
It's happened.
Yeah, and then he goes E5. He is ready to go for the game, you know. I mean, that's what I can see. That it's going to be a very aggressive game.
So the point is, if you take this, I'm going F5. Is that it?
Yeah. And so Hudden now played knight B6, threatening knight C4.
So no, he didn't take the pawn. E5, knight B6.
B3.
Hang on. What? So fast. B3, yes.
D into E5.
Yes.
D6.
Yes.
Knight E6.
Yes.
F5.
Yeah. Knight D4.
Knight D4, and that's the question, and they are thinking now. So what have you achieved for the pawn? I don't think much. Isn't black now threatening knight B3 and winning the exchange? Isn't black now threatening queen into D6? Isn't black now going to recapture on D4 favorably and win this game? So has Epton already got it in the bag? Has he got?
I take it from this you don't like white's position.
No. No, it looks quite, there are multiple threats. Number one is knight B3. Number two is queen D6.
I'll tell you what, I'm getting that knight off the board. I don't like that knight in the middle of my guts. It's got to go. It's got to go.
Take,
And then take the pawn.
Okay, now what do you take that thing?
I have to take.
Let's keep the torrent of threats quiet for at least 10 seconds. Okay, you're going to take it back with something.
So ED4, I think.
ED4, okay.
And then I
Knight
like to
E4.
play Queen H4.
Queen H4.
You're not taking the pawn on B5.
No, that's vulgar.
Well, that's forward. So now you've got bishop opposite colour.
I don't see any. I've got to play something like that, I
All
suppose.
the white colours are on the pawn.
I don't like this for white very much. Okay, maybe I have to play the vulgar move.
So we have a result on board 2.
Result.
Result on board 2.
Okay, let's guess the result. Draw.
Draw.
Okay, let's see the moves.
In just 14 moves, it was a draw.
Okay, well we've got 11 of them here. So what did Perk play? Queen D3, Queen F3.
No, he played number 12 B6.
He took on E6.
Knight into E6.
That's interesting, isn't it? So why did he not play Queen D3 or Queen F3? Go
Bishop
take.
E3.
Hang on. Yes.
D5.
Yeah.
ED5.
Yeah.
Draw Greek.
How boring. Well, black's fine, isn't he? Yeah, when white relinquishes that pawn on D5, isn't black just fine?
Yeah. So is it like nothing for white for Nick Perk, who's got to play black again tomorrow? He hasn't shown anything, he's got 24, 25, 64 and 24, 56. It's kind of
He doesn't seem to be willing to play outside his comfort zone in any game, does he?
Yeah.
He needs to keep some insurance in the position, very solid. I mean, I suppose I don't know, is Queen D3, Queen F3, are they so difficult to see, those moves?
Shall I find John Eames to come in and speak
Well, we don't want to discuss this game, do we?
about his game yesterday?
Well, let's get on with this afternoon's games. Because this is a bit of a non-event. I mean, I think this is the only point where, you know, White's got to try Queen D3. And then, as we saw, the results, only 2 of them. Okay, it seems, what happens there? Queen D3, takes, knight H5, bishop E3. And now can Black perhaps play F5? Is that out of the question? Seems okay for Black. So, interesting, from one point of view, this move bishop G4.
Yeah.
Could this be an equalising try?
And I think John Eames would be quite happy with this draw.
Very happy.
Yeah, he's had a tough game yesterday, and you know, it's like
Black against Nick Perk is not easy.
Yeah, and
not easy at all.
He can possibly relax and prepare his White next game, or possibly, and then he can prepare. You know, I mean, it's quite easy.
Of the 2 players, Nick Perk will be probably unhappy about that. Okay, luckily we've got some exciting games to compensate for that non-event. So Williams versus Tan. Let's go back to this one. 21 bishop b2. Is Black still thinking?
You can go back to the game, but there's no more moves played in the game, so it's still thinking.
Okay, so this is the big one. So let's check this exchange loss again. Black doubles up. White goes in knight g5. The main reason he wants to play knight e4. Black plays knight b6. Knight e4. Queen moves. Now everything comes off. Rook d1. And he can't play knight d5 because of rook c1. So how realistic is it that Black could hold this game?
I don't think so. I mean, this looks like quite odd for anything for Black to do.
Well, he's got, as far as I can see, he's got to go Queen c7, hasn't he?
Well,
and try and hold on.
I mean, this is lost, isn't it? I mean,
is it? Is it so hopeless?
So can I just play
H4? I think we've got to do that.
Yeah.
Whilst that knight's on the queen side, it makes sense to go straight for Black's jugular.
So what's wrong if I played Queen G5, which means we're threatening
when
check on D8 instead of H4? Oh, okay. You've given a flight square, and then H4 is the move. Agreed. I thought he had a flight square already, so he can.
I just don't see how Black's going to defend that. It takes a long while to get the knight across, and White prizes open the king side as immediately. I think if Black was given a couple of moves, he was given knight d5 for free, let's say, then he might have some chance of holding this. So I presume knight d5 is the only move here, but then again we get this. No, rook c1 doesn't achieve very much. So h5, White has to be very quick. And now queen f4, he just takes it and goes rook d7. That looks completely hopeless. He looks lost. I mean, how does he defend his king?
Can he play knight f8? Oh, he can't.
I think he's got to take this pawn and hope for the best, but
yeah,
there's going to be some winning move like rook d3, isn't it? No, rook d3. This is just gone. White was too quick, too quick. He leaves the knight on b6, long way away, and just goes straight for the throat. Let's just verify that. Might be talking a load of old rubbish, but I don't think so. Knight d5, h5. Yeah, it's showing a big advantage to White. Well, if that's the best Black's got, then it's very bad. So this is the position.
Yep.
We were thinking about rook takes f3, try and bail out here. Trouble with this position is that Black pieces are very disconnected. So we hit this. And now he's struggling to coordinate his pieces. That rook on f6, it takes 2 tempi to get into the game. Rook f5, and then he might be able to get a fortress going. But how does he do it? He's got to put his knight on f8, and then just this move. It looks crushing somehow. Again, White's too quick. Is there any way to defend this? Just check it out. Rook f5, minus 3.53. Just rook h4. Straight in. Pardon? Rook where? Well, we just take it off. The rook and knight are no match for the queen here, because the king's open. That's the problem, you know. If the king was secure, then it might be different, but white could just roam around the ball with the queen. It's hopeless, complete hopeless.
You have a few more moves back in Hebden.
The queen is fantastic in these positions, because she can not only demolish the queen side, she can make the other guys well. So bishop b2, it looks very bad. Maybe not. Yeah, knight b6, knight rook ac8, they're all much of a muchness. So, back to Hebden, okay.
White played knight e4, which is a surprising move.
Well, okay, what position? The knight's on d4.
Knight on d4, he played knight e4.
Knight e4 now, yes.
And then Hebden took knight into b3. Is that a blunder?
By who?
Or white? I mean, he's now dropped the next in, isn't it?
Well, he may have taken the view that his position was hopeless, unless he, you know, it maybe gone off the rails already. And he decided, well, might as well go all in here, sacrifice the exchange, so what? You never know, I might get bishop g5 in, or f6, get some action going there.
Yeah.
Okay, where am I going to put the queen? That's the first question, isn't it? Okay, let's play queen f2. Let's at least pretend we're doing so. We're going to take the rook or come back to d4. And black might not take the rook, you know.
Might come back to d4, you mean?
Yeah, might do. Yeah, but white's got some cheapos, hasn't he? That's the thing. I quite like this idea of going knight d4. And what actually is white doing here? I suppose he could take on, no, he takes on c5. I want to get f6 in. That's the move I want to get in here. I just don't trust this for white at all. I mean, can he even take the rook? Let's have a look and be greedy. Probably that's not playable, but it may well be. White will certainly have chances here. He'll have more chances here than he did in the other line, I think. Have we not got to take that? Oh, white's got some chances in this variation. Let's just verify that. So this is the position. Knight takes b3. The engine will tell us it doesn't like white's position very much, irrespective of what he plays. And then it prefers the greedy knight takes a1 to knight d4. After which it's only worse for white. Whereas after knight takes a1, it looks like it's losing for white. So at what point did this go wrong? Could it be that he just panicked here after a takes b5? Any games with this? No games. At what point did it differ from theory? No games there. Knight c7. Here we are, we've got some games. One guy played a4. For the most part, they played g5 and h4, and just ignored black's demonstration on the queen side. But I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it? Just ignore him. I think maybe a4 is the mistake, Ravi.
Yeah.
a4 is such a tempting move. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. You know, he's coming with b5, I must stop him, but perhaps that gives black additional chances. Once he's played g4, he just has to go forward with it. And what's happening here? Unclear. So it looks though Hebden's winning this position. Did he play knight takes b3?
He played knight takes b3.
And is Jackson thinking?
Yes, I'm thinking.
He's got plenty to think about. Looks very bad for white.
If we went back to Hawkins, we've got a few more moves there.
Okay.
Knight c6.
Right, so let's just recap what's happened in this game. Basically, Fernandez is employing his usual strategy of fiddling around and hoping that something will turn up.
And
very passive for black.
You know, someone in the audience suggested h4, and you went h4.
Knight c6, h4.
Yeah.
Right.
Queen to b6.
Okay, so now black's thinking about getting his king away to the queen side, perhaps.
And then played bishop e3.
Yeah.
And as I predicted, he's closing the position at c4.
Yeah.
Bishop c2.
Yeah.
And now he played h6, saying if you play h5, I can play g5.
Oh, this looks ropey.
Queen b1.
There's already a sacrifice on g6. So queen b1. Okay, that looks good. So
Knight
two ideas. Number one, maybe a sack here. Number two, maybe b3.
Knight e7.
Obviously, he was afraid of the sack. Can still sack.
And now b3.
Yeah.
And then we have a competition move.
Okay. Competition number two. Let's see if we can last longer than one move this time. What should we give away? You choose the prize. Right, I presume we're guessing black's next move.
If
Is
you
that
get
right?
it on the first attempt, you're going to get how to be lucky at chess. If you don't, then I'll find another book.
Great inspired guesses of our time.
Yeah.
All right then. Hang on. Knight f5 from Sheila Jackson. What do you say, Ravi?
Knight f5, good move, attacking bishop, and I think that possibly he will play bishop d2 and then not play the game. Sorry. Sensible move, not play the game. Perhaps our junior. Right. Go on, Nikolai.
It's not really a junior's type of position, is it? Yes, sir.
Bishop b7.
Bishop b7,
Nice.
good developmental move. I know you're just trying to put pieces, and I think that bishop is needed on c8 to kind of throw some sacrifices on g6 and e6. So that's my only motivation, not playing bishop b7.
This is the hippopotamus. People who play the hippopotamus just fiddle around, you know, interminably. That's probably gives you no clue whatsoever.
So
But anyway.
true. Anyone else? Next.
Okay.
King d8.
King d8.
King d8 played in the game.
King d8 played in the game. The move of somebody who fiddles around interminably. Right, okay, congratulations. Have we got a book called Fiddling Around Interminably? No. Let him choose. You can have free choice. Okay, round of applause for our friend there. Lovely. Could you please explain it? Okay.
So back to c6. So I did play king d8, and you know, he just, I don't know.
A4?
A4 played.
Is that right? Can I have my book, please?
Yeah, you have seen that.
I didn't see it.
Bishop e7.
Bishop where?
And he's thinking now.
Would surprise me to see the guy play king e8. But anyway, bishop b7. He's got to keep his rook, got to keep his rook protected.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Internet chess. I've seen this happen. You know, guys on the internet, fanatics, they just go like that in a position like this and wait for you to run out of time. Yeah. So
is this bishop on e3 going to suddenly appear on the a3 d6 diagonal? Is that what?
Okay. Well, it's clear that White's got to find a way to open this game up. So how's it done? I see a nice diagonal there for my pieces. So is bishop c1 the move? Bishop c1 and then bishop a3. How about that for playing? Is that possible, Ravi?
Yeah, that's the idea. I think eventually that bishop has to appear on a3.
Well, it could happen there very soon.
And the point of the move king d8 is that any sacrifice you do on king side, like bishop g6 or anything, is irrelevant. Now that the king is going to be on c7.
The only strategy Black has in this position is to wait for his opponent to attack him and then hope he can survive. And preferably, the other guy attacks, sacrificing all his pieces. And then Black defends miraculously and wins. Because he can't do anything. There's no active plan. There's nothing you can do. You just got to wait. It's horrible. Bishop c1 looks right. Bishop c1 looks in every inch the right move. And what's Black doing here?
Black may have to go bishop a6. Maybe not now, but you may have to.
A bit of undevelopment. Why not? It's so ropey for Black. this sort of stuff.
Okay, something interesting has happened back in the.
Are there any more games, first of all? Any more moves?
Any more moves? No.
Bishop b7, that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
If we can go back to Williams'
Tan, okay.
he played knight f8.
He played knight f8.
Knight f8, and then Williams has played knight g5.
Yes.
And I want to find out, is rook h3 a possibility here? Is that what he's planning? Rook h3.
Yeah, you can say it as loud as you like, but well, minimum I've got queen takes f8. All right, now I can get 2 pieces for the rook, but of course that is survivable.
Yeah, queen takes f8.
No, surely I.
Queen takes f8, king takes f8, bishop f6, rook goes back to a3, and I think I've got out of it. And
okay, it's a nice move.
if you take with the knight, I play queen b2, I'm okay. We're on equal, nothing happening there. So I guess rook h3 is the move that black should have planned here. So forcing queen f8 check, king into f8, and then bishop into f6, then rook a3 where the a4 pawn falls. I know you have a powerful bishop on f6 and a knight on g5, but I'm hoping the king can wriggle out to e8 and out. And if his rook gets to c8, we got a game on. So is that rook h3 is the move? Is that what he's planning?
Has he played knight g5?
He played knight g5.
Well, then that's probably what he's planning.
Yeah, but he's thinking now. You see, this move, this sudden possibility of rook h3, I think has brought some chances for black to get back into the game, isn't it? And ironically, the title of the book the gentleman chose was "Improve Your Attacking Chess."
Knight f8.
Knight f8.
Okay, so according to the book, according to Fritz and all that, h4 is the move, not knight g5.
So knight g5, rook h3. What's the assumption?
Equal.
Equal. So there you go. But he hasn't done it. He's played queen d4.
So let's have a look at this. So he should have gone h4, and that stops rook h3, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It prepares knight g5 and doesn't allow him to play rook h3 as a reply. So knight f8, knight g5.
And then he's played queen d4. Is that something, has he made a mistake?
Queen d4 equal here, apparently. Rook h3. Queen takes f8 check. Well, something takes f8. Bishop takes f6. Rook over here. This can't be very clear, can it?
Yeah, but
it's certainly not a stone cold win for white.
Now, isn't it?
Sorry?
He has found queen d4.
So knight g5, although it looks completely obvious, is probably not the right move, is it?
Yeah.
So knight g5 is the move, and now you play queen to d4.
Yeah. And I think he's just one more away from getting out of that pin. So can white now play knight e4? Queen d4, bishop to c3. Is that something?
Then he goes e5.
Can he play knight e4?
Yeah, queen takes knight.
Bishop takes c3.
And then e5.
But isn't this better for white?
Well, you're a pawn down.
Yeah, and then h4.
Rook e1 maybe, yeah?
Yeah, rook e1 and take on e5.
Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Don't forget I've got this move.
Knight e4 played in the game.
Don't forget queen f4.
Knight e4, queen e4, bishop c3, e5.
There was also another possibility here. Knight g5. So I think we're managing to deduce that this move knight g5 was not the best. He should have gone. So knight f8 is a tenacious defence. Knight g5. He should have gone h4. And now black had this fantastic possibility pointed out by Ravi, rook h3, but he rejected it.
Yeah.
He played queen d4.
And then knight e4.
And now there was a possibility suggested by the computer, which nobody has suggested, knight takes f7. With the curious point that after king takes, we have this amazing move. I mean, only a computer can suggest such moves, but I mean, it's not, of course, beyond Williams to see such a continuation. But what do you do? Got my pawn back. That's what we call undermining strategy. That's an amazing move, isn't it?
Yep. Well, can we get back to the game? But
I wonder if they saw that. That's interesting. It'd be interesting to see whether they saw that move. It's an amazing move. That Black. Look at the position. You know, Black hasn't got any moves, has he?
That's why it's a beautiful game.
It's a nice idea, isn't it? So he played knight e4, and now we're probably forcing, is it?
Played,
yeah.
Queen d4 played.
Bishop c3.
Bishop takes c3.
e5.
e5.
Yeah.
And then rook e1.
Is that the game?
No, I'm predicting rook e1, queen f4.
Yeah.
Queen takes f4. E takes f4.
Rook e7.
Now rook d7 is nasty with rook c8 and some backhand threats. So that's not easy after that. But at least you have doubled your pawns. And I think I should play something like
h3.
No, f3. Yeah, just get the king out of that, and then you can now then hit at the bishop, and you know it's not easy. Is it?
Well,
So
maybe I
queen
shouldn't
f4.
play. Hang on, maybe I shouldn't play rook e1. Let me think about this. I mean, I think my compensation for the pawn is so obvious that.
So just to highlight that.
But what if I go h4?
Yeah, you should go h4. That's what.
Not rook e1, because I suppose he goes queen f4 again. Is that right?
Yeah, h4 knight e6.
h4 knight e6. Well, rook e1 now is worse. Yeah, it's not easy. Maybe you should have gone knight takes f7. G3, yes, you could do.
Yeah. And then I play rook c8. Rook d8. Sorry, I play rook d8.
Rook d8.
Yes.
Okay, rook e1 again. Get my pawn back. I don't think you should allow this.
Rook d8, queen f5. Rook e1,
No,
queen
then
f5.
bishop takes e5.
Rook takes e5, queen takes e5, bishop takes e5, rook d1. First tip of the day. Thank you
No,
very
no,
much.
cheapo. What are you talking about? I played g3.
Oh, you played
You've got to
G3.
see the board here.
Sorry, I didn't see G3.
It's not so easy to cheapo a strong
Okay,
play,
so
you know.
G3.
Especially when you can see the board you can't.
I'm looking at the old one. So G3.
Good move. Who suggested g3?
Hey, I lost Legion this morning, but I first good move today.
Right, he lost this morning. Give him a book. Give him a book.
Come on.
Come and help yourself to the stall here. Round of applause for our friend there. Okay.
I've got that one already.
There you go. We don't like this. We don't like unhappiness in our commentary room. Yeah, spend the whole day.
Yeah.
Topolov versus Kramnik, Toilet Gate. Yes, that's a good read. All right. Yeah, G3, I must say, that does look like the best move. Cut out Queen F4. And can Black keep his pawn? Right, I'm going to see what the engine gives. If it gives G3, it will be doubly noteworthy. It doesn't give G3. F6, clear advantage to Black. Can we have the book back, please? Is it F6, Rook D1? What's going on here? I must have some. Oh, I don't threaten Rook D7.
You threatened rook d7, no.
Well, there we are. So, what's the position, Ravik, please?
The position is he's thinking after e5.
Okay.
He hasn't made a single move there.
Okay. Interesting. Well, it has gone in a way which we couldn't have expected. He looked as though it was going to be straightforward, but then he found this ingenious defence, knight f8. And then the natural knight g5 wasn't best, h4. On the grounds that Black is a bit move bound here, isn't he? So that's the position in the game, and White's got to find a good move here.
Yep.
Queen G5. Yes, you could do that.
Wasn't that Queen F4 that we said, oh no, you can take on E5?
Could I go Rook
Rook E8, Queen G5, Rook E8.
F6 just takes it. Rook E8 maybe? Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. So that's the position in the game. Right, okay, so we're coming up to the afternoon break, so we'll have a quick review of the games. Hawkins versus Fernandez.
Okay.
Bishop B7 on move 17. What did White do? We expected Bishop C1.
He played Queen B2, and that's it. It's standing at that. Time on the clock, 49 minutes for White.
So is he going to put the Queen on the long diagonal? On the, sorry, the A3 to F8 diagonal. Is the Queen coming to A3? Or is he keeping his options
Well, he's also clearing the B1 square for the Rook on E1, isn't it?
Might he play Rook A2 and swing the Rook across to A1?
Yeah.
Right, so that could go the distance. It probably will go the distance. It's very blocked. But White is, you know, substantially better. Because Black can't do anything. You know, I expect him to move his king or Bishop F8, as was suggested over there. Black, look, you can see he can't do a thing. We're going to turn it round. It's just not nice. So, substantially better for Hawkins there, although he's yet to break through. Perk M's, tame draw.
Yeah.
Williams, Tan.
No more moves.
No more moves, but we've discussed this at length. Jackson, Hebden. Any more moves? Okay.
Knight B3.
Yes.
Queen F2.
Okay.
Knight A1.
He took it, hooray.
Rook A1.
Yes.
C4.
Yes.
Rook A7.
Yes.
Knight D5.
Yes.
And I think that you know, although Black has some problems with these massive pawn on D6, pawn on F5 could come to D6. The most important piece is that Bishop on E3 isn't doing much, and the Bishop on F3 hasn't come into the game. So I'm expecting now that White should play Bishop C5, which is I think best move there. And then it's up to Hebden to make use of those two pass pawns to try to get something off the game.
Quick check on the old engine will show that after knight F4 it's minus 3.96, or B4, ignoring everything, minus 4.61. So it does not look very promising for Jackson. Right, that's it, 4:30. We'll be back at 5 to 5, and we'll see you then. Thanks for watching on the internet. Thank you all here. We'll see you in 25 minutes. And we're going to have to lock up. I'm really sorry, chaps. Are you going to stay? You're going to stay in 25 minutes? Yeah, that's fine. We won't kick you out. But otherwise, you have to go out. Really sorry. 25 minutes, you sure? You have to, because otherwise, I know everybody. Well, you know where else you're going to. Would you stay 25 minutes? She said, yeah. I'll be back up. Try to be fine. Let's do this.
Awesome. Hello. How do you switch games?
Then talk through the commentary and you can think back. Because somebody might go in the future. Oh, we will be straight and get right. Nobody doesn't do it. We can check the ones. Yeah. I think the boys in the door.
Hello, I'm Nikolai. Hello. Big hand. Big hand.
Really? People get it was yours fun. Yeah. Now, before we got it, I'm sure you go to, there's a farmhouse.
We're actually not my rats.
It's the old, it's the ones the ones that I hit the one that
How do you switch games?
I don't know what's in yeah, one time, and I was going to go it was really fun yesterday. Really? Yeah. I didn't get to go to the window. I go to the window. It's all the time. But I never yeah, that's the same as last year. I think it would be cute. Just down the hall. Hell yeah. See all the doors. I don't know, that makes sense. I told you that in there. I'll be on this way.
Yeah,
Okay, fine, that's fine. So you get things better, right? Yeah, it's not just that I can't do anything. We have two dogs, I don't know, and it's a million practice. I can't do anything. I got up there and I only 2 minutes, I only lost the room. Can I come over? an issue. We're like 395 minutes. We do that. Imagine it starts to not work and we keep our space talking to the other house. Okay, so it's working. The one that I'm working, I was like this. And if you open some website, you should open it. That's bizarre. That's bizarre. Okay, all last night, and I've been up since 4 a.m. this morning. It's not working, they're going back there. Finish time again. Yeah, because, I mean, I'm supposed to be on fire, but I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna go back now. I'm gonna go back right now. Okay. So again, 5 minutes. Either 5 minutes or meeting for nonsense. I'm gonna need access 5 minutes, right? And I'm talking back and forth, so I'll, I'll come over. Yes, shall I give it to you or can you see it? Okay. All right, thank you, ladies. Bye. Yeah, so we had every time I go there, I was working as well. So we are saying, yeah, that's fine. I'm fine. I just not. Maybe not. He's going out. I'm going to break. Yeah. Will you be here for a problem? Someone wants to
Yeah, something else. To take that one.
Yeah.
Keep an eye.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay, just keep feeling. They'll probably be back. I mean,
Yeah, they will be back by around 6 o'clock. They're going to have a coffee break.
no, not 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Is it? Oh, yeah, 5 o'clock, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's no
Yeah.
time at all. No, I'll stay here the whole time.
Okay.
So you're back. Excellent. Yes. All your limbs left. They're so fed up with their own nonsense. Yeah. Really?
Okay, well, we'll try and make a restart a little bit early. There are very few people in the hall here, so commentating for the internet viewers mostly. We'll start again with Hawkins versus Fernandez. Now, when we left it, it looked as though Black was really suffering from cramp. He can't really do very much. He hasn't got any active plan. He's got to sit and wait. And Hawkins' last move, Queen B2, gives White a number of options. First option is that White can reroute the Queen to a better diagonal, perhaps. Second option is that White may swing his rook across to B1. And once that rook gets to B1, there are quite a few options for White on the table in terms of opening up the position. White's got to find a way of opening up this position. So Queen B2 is very sensible. He just connects the rooks, keeps the position flexible, and gives him maximum chances to open the game. And Black's got to be very careful because in certain positions, White suddenly goes B takes C4. Black would love to be able to recapture with the D pawn in such a position, or then D5. And suddenly White will be hitting the Black Queen. But of course, White will time that move carefully because he understands that once he takes on C4, allowing Black to capture with the D pawn, Black can bring his bishop into the game and the knight. So anyway, in this position, Fernandez played knight to F5.
And very committal decision, isn't it? Bishop takes F5. I mean, can't you play Bishop D2? What's wrong with? Is it some G5 coming up? And
well, I think that after Bishop takes F5, the problem for Black is that he doesn't have a good recapture.
So what's wrong with EF5? Is it straight away E6 or?
E takes F5. Well, I don't know. Can I go E6? And if you take on E6, can I take on
G6?
I can even take on E6, can't I?
Yeah. So
this is horrible because if Queen takes E6, Bishop G5 check.
So Bishop takes F5, G takes F5.
Okay. Well, now of course the white structure is better.
Yeah, and then Rook E to B1.
Yeah.
Getting all the pieces nicely sorted. And then C takes B3, Queen takes B3.
Sorry, is that the game?
Yeah.
Well, I saw Fernandez thinking about this position during the break, and to me, he looked uncomfortable.
Yeah. So especially, can I just point out that one of the knights can go on H5, which is quite a nice square for the knight there. So it's the knight on F3.
I think I'm threatening to win material here, aren't I?
Could he get the knight on F3 to E1 and D3, and then one knight on H5, another knight on F4? It's kind of pretty much sealed the king side. And
Black's position doesn't appeal. Look at his bishops. Both of them are what Bobby Fischer would call biting on granite. That's the last thing you want for your bishop. You know, jammed up by the enemy pawns or even by your own pawns. So Black is in some trouble here. He's forced to open the position himself, which he really doesn't want to do. So C takes B3?
C takes B3, Queen takes B3.
Yeah.
And he's gone Bishop F8.
Right, so already we're in the realm of actually winning some material here.
Yeah.
So we can win a pawn if we want to. So how much of a pawn is that? Okay, let's see. I take the pawn. Take back?
Take.
Take on A8.
Bishop A8.
Yeah, take the pawn.
Queen B5, Queen B5, Rook B5. But what Fernandez is hoping that when you get to that position, your pawn possibly doesn't matter much unless you get C4.
Well, that's what he's hoping for, isn't it?
Yeah. And can he get now bishop c6 and king c7? Bishop c6.
Bishop c6, all right. Now,
Yeah.
Right, rook b1, king c7.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, it's not that easy, is it?
Yeah. If white left if you went back and do not touch the pawn on b5, rather than look at the knight on f3, getting to a fantastic square like d3, and then when you take the pawn, it makes more sense, isn't it? So what else can black improve if you don't take the pawn? He's not going to be able to play b takes a4, queen takes a4. So is now Hawkins going to play knight to e1 and then get the knight from e1 to d3?
Well, the first point to be made, as you quite rightly say, I think white probably won't take that pawn. Why should he dissolve the tension at this point?
No. No, there are a couple of weaknesses. You know, if you eventually go to that end game, I would rather do it when my knight is on h5, when his rook is going to be tied down to the bishop on f8, and right now that knight on f3 is doing nothing, and it has to find a good square. And I have a feeling that knight e1, knight b3 could be quite a nice thing. And even if black tries something like rook g8, there's this move g3, you know, kind of, you know, there's a game between Anand and Barayev, isn't it? Anand and Barayev, that all the dark square, you know, weakness, and then there was a penetration. This is quite similar, like, you know, if white gets rid of the bishop on e3 for the bishop on f8, black's in big trouble.
So you suggest knight e1. I mean, I'm still struggling to find any sort of active plan for black at all. Are you going rook g8? Okay, let's get on with your plan. Black's forces are disconnected, aren't they?
I'm saying that even if you get rook g4, I have this g3. So knight e1, I would play bishop e7. It's possibly the best bet. And
g3
now,
then.
Yeah, he's now played a b5. I don't know. Strangely, he's gone into this.
This is the position, is it?
Yeah.
He didn't go knight e1.
No, he didn't go knight e1. He felt that it's time to take the pawn.
Well, does he need to take the pawn? Okay, let's see this. So he takes on b5, yes?
Yeah.
Take on a8, yes?
Yeah.
But now do I need to take this pawn? I mean, it's always there to be taken.
Oh, actually, that bishop d3 round away.
Yeah, what about bishop c1 now? Just play it positionally. How about that? Leave you with that rubbishy bishop on a8.
So if you play bishop c1, threatening bishop a3, can I play rook g8?
Rook g8, all right, I'll do it.
Yep, bishop a3.
You take it. Queen takes. Bishop's on free.
No, I would rather play rook g4 there.
The queen takes a8.
So bishop, I didn't want to play bishop a3 at the first instance. What's happening?
By black?
Yeah, if you played bishop a3, it's my turn to play, isn't it?
Correct. I thought you said bishop a3. Maybe I'm mishearing things.
No, I should play here bishop c6.
Bishop c6.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I take on f8.
Yeah, and then some penetration on dark square. In fact, he's just gone bishop c1. You know, I mean, this is.
He did it.
Yeah, he did play bishop c1.
Right.
So you know, typical ideas in a position. You know, just
leaving black with passive pieces.
Yeah, I think
black needs to get a knight to c4 quickly.
So what happens if I just play b4? I mean,
b4.
Yeah.
I take it.
Pawn, and then put the queen on b5.
Well, that could be shifted.
Queen d3, bishop c6. Now my pieces are coming alive, but I'm a pawn down.
But you're a pawn down for nothing here, aren't you?
Yeah, but at least I get some freedom, isn't it?
You call this freedom? Right, d3.
Bishop C6.
In.
In. Okay. Bishop E7. Oh, I got to get the rook on G8. I got to get that bishop and untangle that bishop and.
Yeah. Not easy.
Not easy. Not easy.
Okay, so Bishop C1 looks powerful.
Bishop C1, Bishop C6. That's, I think, almost forced.
Is he still thinking?
Yeah.
Right, let's
so
leave.
I have a different idea here that can I play Bishop C6? And then when you play Bishop A3, I go back King E8. And then if you play Bishop F8, King F8, oh, all the dark squares are looking bad. No, there's nothing.
Hello.
I mean, can he play a radical move like Bishop C6?
That last variation was pretty radical.
Yeah, Bishop C6, okay, Bishop A3, and now Bishop G7. Keeping the
You seem to be getting quite excited about Black's position.
No, I'm not excited.
It's one of the worst positions I've seen for a long while.
Bishop G7. Bishop G7. If I'm keeping the bishop.
That's a lovely active bishop you got there.
So are you going to put bishop on D6 now?
I might stick my knight on H5. the vultures are closing in. You know, once you hear, you know, the 20 suggestions from the audience, you know, everybody wants to kill the other guy off. So, what is the move here?
No.
How have you improved your position?
Okay. So, okay.
The position's got markedly worse.
Right. Can we go back to the question and let me see if
Look, they're still biting on granite. Can't you see? Rubbish bishops. Okay, that didn't work. Any more suggestions?
H5.
When? At any stage.
No. Bishop. No, not now. Go back.
All right. Bishop C1.
Bishop C1. H5.
H5.
Inviting the knight to G5.
Bishop A3. I will not be distracted.
Bishop H6.
Bishop H6. All right, let's take another pawn.
King C7. Finally freeing, getting some accuracy.
Freedom? You call this freedom?
There's nothing there in that question. It looks quite bad. Sorry.
This is nothing minus. Okay, this is not good. Right, okay, so we failed to find any suggestions worth looking at for Black.
Now, I mean, like, you know, looking at that position, original position when he played Bishop C1, Black's problem is the rook on H8 is doing nothing. He needs the rook rather somewhere on C8 to get some counterplay. That king on D8 isn't doing anything.
Well, he suggests Queen A6.
So, I mean, if you give Black Bishop C6, King C7, King B7, and then he gets the rook to A8, he's all right. But that long is going to take. So why did he go for that? And let me just play Bishop C6 straight away.
You did that before. Bishop A3.
Bishop A3, King C7.
King C7.
Yeah. I'm happy. If I can get my rook to A8 and I got my piece.
You're easily satisfied, that's all I'm saying. Right, let's take this off.
Rook into F8.
I'm not going to muck around with you for a moment longer.
So, okay, you've got Queen B4 there. Okay.
You said you were happy a minute ago.
Okay.
I must remind you, there are a few threats.
Right, I can't stop both of them. So, King B7.
B7?
Yeah, just hold on to it.
Do you know something? I don't like your position. Okay, come on, let's get the guy in here. Whose position do you prefer?
No, I prefer white, but I'm just trying to put up something with black. Okay, finally, rook A8.
How exciting.
Queen D8, sorry.
Shall I take off your entire king side? Of course, what's characteristic of all these lines is Black failed to find a single active move. He can't play one active move in the whole sequence of moves here. Let me try Queen A6, which is the computer suggestion. I mean, I suppose that stops Bishop A3. That might be the best, surely. Bishop B2. Okay, well, maybe. Possibly, yeah. Maybe he could go. Maybe he could play this Queen A4. I don't know. Try and hang on. All right. Well, it doesn't look that great for Black. it looks like he's got to play Queen A6. Has he made a move yet? No, he probably doesn't like his position very much.
So Queen A6, at least temporarily.
Still trying to defend
that.
it. Yep.
So is he threatening Queen A4 or something like that? Or no?
No,
it's
I'm
not
just stopping
threatening.
Bishop A3. That's it.
So Queen A6, can White go Knight E1, planning Knight C2 and Bishop A3?
What if I go Knight D3 first of all?
Queen A4.
And then just retreat the queen, Queen B2, and leave you now I'm threatening Rook A1. And Black can't do anything again. Let's try Knight B6.
So he's played B4 now.
Who did? It's Fernandez.
Yeah. Doesn't want that. And
Let's see what the computer thinks. Probably Queen A6, I'm guessing.
So B4 what? Is it CB4, Queen B5? Is that kind of a blockade he's playing for?
B4, it's getting worse. C takes B4, Queen B5. Well, you suggested this, didn't you? And then according to this, Rook A1 or Bishop D2 with an uncomfortable position. But at least in this line, he probably gets his knight to C4. Okay, so that might give Black a glimmer of hope. Let's move on. Right, any more moves in Williams' tan? Because this was a surprising game. It looked as though White was killing Black, but then Black found an ingenious defence back here, Knight F8, and obliged White to find a really good move to continue his attack, H4.
Yeah.
That keeps the White advantage
large.
Instead, Williams made a mistaken move, Knight G5, and then Black played very good move, Queen D4. He could also have played very interesting move here, Rook H3.
Yeah.
A spectacular defence. And then we get a very unclear position here when White takes the two pieces for the Rook. You know, who's to say White's better? Especially if Black gets the pawn on A4. But Tan didn't do that. He rejected Rook H3. He played Queen D4, and now by force we get this
few
position.
more moves.
Yep.
Knight E4, Queen E4.
Yep.
Bishop C3, E5.
Yes.
And then he played Rook E1, Queen F4.
Yes.
And now Queen H3, Rook E8.
Yep.
And now A5. Simple Knight A5. He's saying you are going to have some problems on the long diagonal, and he's just placing it that way, A5, and then Black played Knight H7, rerouting the knight, and he played Queen D3.
Right, so I was looking at this position in the tournament. Now Queen D7 is the interesting move, and that's answered by Knight F6.
And then if you play Queen B7.
Queen B7, I go Knight G4. That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
And suddenly, out of absolutely nowhere, Black's got a winning attack.
So
Incredible turnaround. So that is what Williams is afraid of.
Yeah.
So, and I suppose Knight G5 is also a possibility.
So he played Queen D3.
Queen D3, all right.
And Black played B6, A6.
B6,
A6.
A6.
Knight F6, getting the knight back into play.
Yeah, and keeping all his pieces protected.
And White played G3.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to have a good square for the queen, isn't it? I mean, he could lose the E5 pawn, but he's all right, isn't it? I mean, even if he loses the E5 pawn. So can he find a move to keep, or should he play now Queen F5 and offer exchange of the queens?
Well, I mean, Queen F5. There's problems with Bishop B8 in certain endings, aren't there? So if you go Queen F5, if I go takes with the Rook here,
the Rook takes E5.
I mean, you've got some problems here.
Knight D7.
Yeah, Bishop B8. You've got to come after this pawn. Oh, sorry.
Okay, he
going
needs
there.
his coffee break again.
All right, hang on a minute. Don't get all carried away.
I think that
Bishop D6.
Bishop D6.
So this is lost, surely.
Knight C5.
Wow. What about this? Knight C5.
So G3 is thinking.
Just take it. Bishop takes knight.
So G3, he needs a move. What do you play?
Bishop takes knight.
Pawn takes, and then you
King
win.
F1.
King F1, and then you
I'll get
win.
4 queens.
Okay.
Is that enough?
So he can't play this endgame. Okay, so Queen F5 is not possible. And he needs a good move where, after losing the pawn on E5, You need something. So
Well, Queen G5 you could go,
so you can go Queen G5,
but now
F4 is it?
I don't know. I'm certainly thinking about it. Yeah, that kind of drifts away from the action. That lets him take the pawn, doesn't it? No, Queen D8 then. You can't move the knight. Let's see that. Queen H6. Rook takes here. Yeah, I think so. Takes, and that. You can't. Queen D8.
He's played Queen F5 for some reason. He's played Queen F5.
He played that.
He played Queen F5.
Well, and then
Queen F5, Queen F5.
Well, hang on a sec. And if you play Queen F5, it must
Yeah.
mean it's the only square.
Yeah, I think for Bishop B5 he's going to play Knight E4.
So Queen F5, right? Well, we're going to take that, aren't we?
Queen into F5.
Yeah.
G into F5. Rook into E5.
Yes.
He's got to take on E4, 5. Bishop E5, and then Knight E4.
No, where?
Knight E4.
Well, then Bishop B8. I'm getting that must be winning.
Okay, so he's got to play Knight D7 and then Bishop D6.
Well, I think looking at it now, I quite like Bishop D4. Just dominating the knight.
Yeah.
And if Knight B8, Bishop takes B6.
Yeah.
So he's got
so
to.
Well,
hang on. Let's just a second now. Hang on a minute. Right. So Black moves his king. Okay, let's do this. Now we're going to stick this H pawn up as quickly as possible. This must be lost.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do?
Hang on a minute. Why should I exchange the rooks? So if you played Queen F5, G5, and you played Rook E5, can I just play Rook C8?
Probably have to. Well, that might not be lost, might it? Rook A3. So Rook takes F5, takes this here. This shouldn't be lost. Slightly prefer Black.
So where do you put the bishop? That's the thing, isn't it? He's hoping to keep the rook on the C line.
Right. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is put the bishop on D4.
Bishop on D4, Rook C4.
Rook C4. Don't get excited. Now go back to E3.
Knight G4, and then you got Rook A8 check and Rook A8.
Yep.
King G7, and then you got Rook A8, and then Knight takes E3, F takes E3. Can I defend it with Rook C7? Is that a defendable rook endgame?
Well, the first thing is to get the rook to B7. So here.
So he has played Queen into
You're a bit
F5.
slower.
Yeah.
Rook B8.
Yeah.
You can't get one tempo short, aren't you?
King F6.
Rook B7.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, and then I got to play Rook E7 then.
Rook where? Rook B7.
No. A move earlier. Rook E7. Move earlier. Yeah. Rook B8, Rook E7.
Rook E7.
Rook E3, Rook E7. Yeah.
The point being after this.
Rook and E3. I think you should play King F2 to stop that.
Yeah, probably right. Okay, so what is the game then? We've come a long way, haven't we?
So Queen into F5, G into F5, Rook and D5 played, and I think Williams can squeeze out a win from here. And he's played Rook into E5, which is surprising.
He took this. I don't know. Has he seen something we haven't seen?
Rook and D5, Bishop and D5. Is he going to play Knight D5 then? Is he going to play Knight D5?
So what? Bishop D4?
No. Bishop B8 doesn't work for some reason.
Didn't think about it.
So, I mean, seems to be completely losing endgame, isn't it?
It's a strange decision. So what has he seen that we haven't seen?
No, he played Knight D7, so he's getting into a losing endgame after Bishop D4.
Well, he obviously.
Bishop D4, Knight B8. That's what he's.
Yeah, Bishop takes B6.
Like Knight A6.
Bishop takes A7.
Yeah,
it's completely lost.
So Knight D7 played, and now Williams has to find Bishop D7. Can Black play F6 and then activate the king to D5? F6.
So Bishop D4.
Bishop D4, F6.
F6. All right. So just a second.
Okay.
Right. Well, I must move my king in, or I'm not going to do anything in this endgame. So king up.
D2, King F7.
All right. Up we come.
King E6.
Up we come. Doesn't change much. You're running out of moves.
Knight D5.
Bishop takes b6.
Have I got any cheat codes left here?
We can give a check and hope I die of a heart attack.
No,
How about that?
can't play.
If you say it loudly enough, it might work.
So I can't play knight e5 then, sorry.
When?
Yeah, knight c5.
Well, just take it. Just take it. Winning king and pawn ending. Because the h pawn, you know.
Yeah.
Just move the king. This guy is big. Getting bigger.
So I mean,
Has he misjudged this ending, or we misjudged it? Something's got to give. Either he or we have misjudged it. Bishop d4, dominating the knight. I can't believe he thinks that bishop and 3 be knight and 2 on the same side as a draw.
so right now it's 4 against 4, isn't it?
Is he trying to hold him up in that endgame?
So bishop d4, he's got to find a way to free himself, isn't it? So bishop d4, what about if I play king f8 straight away?
Well, then I was going to... Yeah, bring the king in.
King e7.
Okay, pushy, pushy. Let's go.
Okay, king d6.
Okay, should I play h5? It's nearly running all the way, isn't it? King up.
King d5.
Okay.
So where did you put the bishop on?
Actually, well, maybe I shouldn't push that pawn, should I? Why am I not just bringing the king up?
King e3, king d6.
Yeah. I mean, there's play on both sides of the board, and it's bishop v knight. You know, so I don't see what the problem is here in understanding white must be much better, or if not winning. It's a strange choice of endgame here. Maybe he thinks.
So is he going to play after bishop d4? Is he going to play f4 there?
Well, it's just showing passive defense with black's king. King h7. And then bring the king to g6.
Yeah.
King f3, then king to h6 and try and hold this.
Yeah. And then h4.
And then keep. Yeah, maybe is that Zugzwang? That is Zugzwang.
So
all right, f6.
Well, king f3.
I mean, I'm not even sure that that's not a win. h5.
Yeah, h5 is a win. But there was an interesting solution. Maybe he's looking at f4, just spoiling, doubling up the pawn or getting rid of that pawn. Yeah.
Okay, king up.
Ft3.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So this is possibly slightly easier for him to defend. Isn't
Possibly, yeah. But then, of course, I've got a route right in, haven't I?
Yeah.
Not that way. How about that way?
So,
I mean, I don't have to touch the H pawn. It's like lurking there, waiting to move at any moment.
so you know, it's this transformation, isn't it, from that position that when he played Queen f5, he didn't realize. Now he's taking quite a bit of time.
It's a very. Does he play Bishop d4 yet?
He played Bishop d4.
He has.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a misjudgment by Black, I think. I think he should have played Rook c8. What did he see there that was so unattractive? Did he see something there? Anybody see something? Or maybe we're missing something. Because certainly that endgame here, that doesn't look worse for Black at all, does it? So, does White got anything better?
I think that endgame is lost. I mean,
Bishop d4, Rook c4, like you said.
I think I don't like after Bishop e3. You know, I'm playing this endgame with a lot of things hanging around. You know, I mean, I don't like that endgame. I think that Queen f5 was the mistake.
Yeah, but he might have to try this. You know, Black should maybe try this because this endgame here, this looks most
completely
prospectless. Okay, what if he reduces all the pawns? Let's say he goes in for this and take this off. Can we just take this off? Can I defend this? Oh, you know, knight on the same side. Can I just put up a passive defense, put the king on g6 and just hang around? Maybe that is a draw, is it?
First is Bishop c5.
Bishop c5. Well, it don't make any difference.
Okay, then bishop d4,
Okay, it doesn't. I'm just going to muck around with the king.
king g2,
Yeah, just try and defend this.
king f3.
Yeah, how are you going to win this? That's what Black's going to say.
I think he's aiming for something like this in the long ball.
Well, I mean, the first thing White's got to do is to play f3 and g4, and then put the pawn on h5.
Yeah,
I'll win.
it's quite hard, isn't it? I mean,
Well, maybe this is what he's going to do then. Go for this one.
we have a few more moves in the Hawkins game. If you can jump back right.
Right. So okay.
b4.
Wait a second. One moment. Hawkins, there have been some more moves. b4, yes.
cb4.
Yes.
Queen b5 blockade.
Yes.
Bishop d2.
Okay.
Knight b6 coming into
c4, yes.
And Hawkins has pawn queen a3, threatening, devastating queen a7. And I think that is going to hurt quite a bit. Queen a7. He's played king c7 now. I mean, what?
That's confronting your assessment.
Yeah. I feel there's something, you know, he's going to put the bishop on b7 and he's going to try to get around it, isn't it? I mean, the main point of Black's defense is...
What if I put my knight on c5? How about that? What if I play knight d3?
I think that's it. And then when you move the bishop, knight comes into c5.
That's the idea.
It's much more lethal, isn't it? So what's wrong with queen a7 check, bishop b7, knight d... can't play that. So I think he's got to play knight d3 now. He's got to play knight d3 now. And then knight c4, queen a7 check, queen b7. We're going into this murky endgame. So like that, bishop being... the bishop... No. Is it queen a7 check, bishop b7? You can't play knight d...
Oh, the bishop's on 3. What are we saying, Ravi?
So knight d3, he's got to play bishop b7 now.
Bishop
Or
b7.
bishop b7, and then
Right.
when you play knight c5.
I think I will.
Yeah.
No, he can take that, of course, but
I think definitely knight d3. He can't play knight c4. So knight d3.
was that
He's got to
played?
move the bishop to c6, or then queen a7 check. So he's got to play the bishop to b7. Then in comes knight c5. He's probably going to play king b8. So that's the kind of.
I mean, White can also go queen a5, can't he, if he wants to play an endgame?
Well, queen f5, bishop c6. I don't think you will appreciate that endgame being a pawn up. He's got to put that knight on c5, magic knight on c5. He's gone rook c1 check, so that he can't play knight c4. And when he's got to play something like king b8, it's probably... So what's he got for king b8? Is it queen a5? So king b8 is the only move stopping queen a7. So what's he done after that? I mean, is it queen a5? Is he going to play queen a5 and then bishop c6 solidity? Difficult. King b8 is gone. King b8.
This is the game. This is the game, isn't it?
It's the game, and now he's got to play queen a5. I mean, the whole point of that. Then can Black play bishop c6? See, White's pieces are hitting, kind of not hitting the right.
Well, all right, knight d3. Let's get the knight to c4.
Knight d3, knight c4.
All right, knight c4, queen c3. I just defend it. Remember, I'm a pawn up. I don't need to be heroic.
Yeah, okay, agreed.
Why don't I just play this position?
I think he's going to go rook a1 now, threatening queen a7 check. Which when you play bishop b7, then you can go knight d3, knight c4, queen a7 check.
Rook a1.
He's thinking of that.
No, then you can take on f7, can't he?
Yeah, he's got to play bishop b7 back now,
Bishop b7, yeah.
and then now knight d3.
Knight d3.
And then you go knight c4, which is your major move. Now queen a7 check.
Yeah.
King c7.
King c8 probably.
King c8. Knight c5 in. This is quite decisive, isn't it?
Is
You
it?
don't have anything.
It is?
Yeah.
Got to take it.
B into C5. Yeah, this is gone.
Gone.
Yeah. I mean, he's played rook A1,
Right.
and then now bishop B7 is going to come, and then he's going to play knight D3. Oh, I see the point now. Bishop B7 is queen A7 check, king C7, and then rook A5. Oh, that's unbelievably bad, isn't it? Is queen has got to go to E8 or somewhere? Something.
Well, he's got to go to C7, hasn't he, to keep the knight protected?
Yeah, and then he goes rook A5.
Okay, 5.
You got to go queen D7 or queen.
Well,
Insert the knife back, can't you? Yeah.
So you have to go queen D7 or queen E8, isn't it?
oh, I'm looking at knight C8
Well, knight C8.
with your rook trapped on B5. Not quite.
Knight C8, queen B7, check, king B7, rook B5.
Nobody takes with the queen on B7.
Oh, sorry. There's something there. Oh. So knight C8 is quite hard following something on this one and analyzing by just looking at it.
Yeah, no, you're forgiven.
So knight C8 you're saying now.
Just a thought, I don't know. I haven't liked Black's position the whole game. This is maybe the best position he's had.
So he's played bishop B7 back.
Rook A1, bishop B7 he played.
So should he now play just knight D3, threatening knight C5? He's got queen A7 check in the back anytime. So should he play knight D3 now?
Well, I didn't see what was wrong with the variation we had. Knight D3, give a check, put the knight in takes. What's wrong with this?
Yeah.
You know, Black's left with his lousy bishop. Okay, it's opposite colour bishops on the board. Black's got a strong knight, but he's fallen down.
Knight D3. He straight away played knight D3.
Well, can you blame him?
Yeah, I think he's going to play knight C5 with the option that when you play knight C4, it's got queen A7 check and knight C5 and
so knight C4 is probably the only move. Check, king. Now we're going to put the king.
Wherever you go, knight C5.
Is that true? That's not true, is it? Because if I go king C7, you go knight C5, takes, rook A8.
So he's played knight D3, knight C4. So knight C4, should he just play queen C3 and then hope for knight C5 and then play?
Yeah, just keep playing.
Yeah.
I think queen C3. What's wrong with that?
Okay.
And then put the knight on C5. That looks better to me. No, queen A7 looks like a bit of a wild goose chase unless it wins on the spot. So we expect queen C3. I don't see why not. Why isn't Black just a pawn down here with no compensation?
Can we jump back to Hebden's game? There's quite a few moves there.
Right. Well, when we left it, I think it was this position. Jackson was just fishing around. Yeah, the computer suggested that, you know, Black was completely winning.
In fact, Hebden won that game.
Okay, let's see it.
So we are in move number
26.
29.95, isn't it?
26 bishop C5.
Bishop C5. No. Bishop C5, B4.
Right, so Black completely ignores any threats that White is drumming up. I think that's correct. Hmm?
Yeah. So knight B5 was played, 25 knight B5.
Yeah.
And then he went F6. He didn't play bishop C5.
Okay. Well, we better take
F6, knight into F6.
Yeah.
Bishop C5, B4.
Yeah.
King G2, B3.
Black's plan is very clear.
Bishop A3, knight D5 back.
So White's trying to defend this. This doesn't look very promising.
Queen D2, knight F4 check.
Yeah.
King G3, knight D3. It's just that knight grows, isn't it? All over the board and then gets to d3.
Was that it?
No, bishop e2.
Bishop where? E2.
E2, queen b6.
Yeah.
Bishop taps d3, c times d3.
So he could have taken the exchange.
But I think b2 is the main cause.
Now hang on, bishop takes d3. Why can't we go queen takes a7? Oh, bishop c5.
I just played cd3, you know, I mean. And if you have to play bishop c5 now, possibly you just play some moves there. And
well, after bishop c5, there must be a forced win here. I mean, queen takes bishop, and b2 looks quite strong.
I think despite all the
I just go queen c6, don't I?
And despite all the trust in the king side, white didn't get anything out of it.
Well, because if we retrace to here, well, I mean, once he plays g4, he sells his soul, doesn't he? He's got to go for it after that. He shouldn't play a4. A4 helped black. If you think about the course of the game, only black benefited from a4. So he should have gone g5, allowed b5, and then h4, and just played to put the bishop on g4, which is what they do. And if black plays b4, so be it. If you play c4, it's probably slightly more troublesome with the knight coming in. Okay, so typical four pawns attack. I mean, don't touch the queen side. Once he touched the queen side, you know, black got an amazing amount of counterplay incredibly quickly. And after that, it's downhill, wasn't he? He was just fishing, sacking all his pieces. So Hebden has bounced back from that defeat a couple of days ago. Very dramatically, he's won 2 really nice games. Was that the end? Queen c6 resigns?
No, he didn't. He resigned after cd3.
cd3, this is it. Okay. So let me put a note in to help me a bit later. Must be 0-1, mustn't it? Right, okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know what Jackson would think about that game. He'd think that he was never in it.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you, know, that it's a thin line when you play the 4 pawns attack. Most people play a4 as a kind of knee-jerk reaction, but it's probably a mistake. All right, so Hawkins Fernandez, back to this one. Any more developments?
Knight d3 played, knight c4.
Yes.
Gone back, queen c1.
Queen c1.
Yeah, and then I think he's just simply going to play knight c5, and then he's just going to collect that, you know, superior bishop.
So I can see why he's done that. He's eyeing up the pawn on h6, isn't he? That's a better square than just in case when bishop takes c5, b takes c5. He's eyeing up that pawn. That's a better move than queen c3. Isn't
what happens if I play knight d2 and then you play queen d2?
Knight d2, queen d2. Yes.
So bishop e7. How do you win that? Oh, the knight comes.
How do I win it? I plonk the knight in. Thank you. That's the first stage.
Massive knight c5.
Well, I haven't won it yet. Are you going to resign?
So 17 minutes left for
obviously not.
Black, and then Fernandez to find something in that position.
Blocked position, knights before bishops. I mean, extra pawn should be very nice. Queen on d2 is very nice for white, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, still looks lost for Fernandez.
Yeah.
So Queen c1, we're waiting, are we?
Yeah.
Right, so what have we got this afternoon? We had that tame draw between Perk and Ems.
Yeah.
We've got a nice win for Hebden. Williams tan, what's happening there?
Just a couple more moves.
All right.
King h7.
King h7, all right.
King f1.
Wait a minute, promote the variation. King f1.
King g6.
Yes.
King e2.
Yes.
And I think I clearly favor white here.
A really risky assessment.
Well, you think if you play knight b8, bishop b6.
Well, he's obviously going to be, you know, white's plan is crystal clear. The king is coming up, isn't it? And in. So the logic of that is black's knight's completely dominated. And
so, I mean, like.
Well, what's to stop white winning this fairly routinely?
So can now black play king h5?
King h5. I don't understand what's going on there.
And then f4.
Let's go.
And you think that's 2 against 1, it's going to win for you, is it? You have the right color bishop as well.
I have the right colour bishop. Never forget it.
So FG3, FG3, King G5. Oh, sorry, F5, F5.
F5. Okay, come on.
So when your king reaches C6, I have that knight B8 check. And
So you can play it straight away.
No, I don't want to play it straight.
Oh, king where? I see, but if I can put the king on D6, yeah, this might be the way to play it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So try and make a draw this way.
But he's thinking, and everything is kind of.
All right, so I've got to be careful here. I've got to be careful that he doesn't get a lot of pawns off the board. So let me try F3. F4, G4. King H4. Right, now hang on a minute. Can I put him in Zugzwang here? Okay, king here. King here. And now
he's gone for the defensive huddle here. He didn't play F4, he just went knight B8.
Sorry, king E2.
Yeah, he played knight B8 straight away.
Knight B8, so he obviously thinks he could defend this. So we're going to reduce to this endgame of
so bishop into B6.
Bishop takes B6.
Knight A6.
Knight A6, bishop A7.
And
now he runs back to the king
side. He's going to play knight B4.
Or knight
C7.
C7.
Hoping that by putting knight in some good square, he can defend this. So I think this is going, into extra time now, obviously, isn't it? And
right. Well, I thought I could win this. Let me try F3.
Yeah.
Now what are you going to do? Try your defensive huddle.
I think this is good. Will take a long time, but White has winning chances. That's the best thing to say.
Just trying to see how White plays for a win. I mean, I can put my bishop on E3, then I can play G4, H5. This is what he's hoping for, isn't it? I mean, what do you think about this endgame, Ravi? Do you think this is a win?
Yeah, I think so. He can't wait any longer because the White king is coming up. He's decided that's the defensive huddle he can.
You think that's a win?
Yeah. It would take longer time, and they are 8 moves away, 29 minutes for. Going back to the Serena Williams game. Plenty of time. White has 40 minutes left on the clock, and Black has 10 minutes left on the clock. It's going to take, all evening there. He's gone back to knight C7, and I think he's going to put the knight on E6 and just hold, rotate with the knight on E6.
I'm just thinking about how he's going to win this.
We have a couple more moves in the Hawkins. We can jump back to that.
He doesn't. Okay.
Couple of interesting moves. So he played Queen C1, and interestingly, he took the knight from the best position back to B6. Hawkins put knight C5, and he played knight C4 back, saying, "Come and show me how you're going to win." And Hawkins now nails in H5, making sure that pawn remains a target. So neither the bishop nor the rook can be moved at the moment. And it's quite an interesting position, isn't it? And he now played bishop E7, offering the H6 pawn.
Wow. Well, in the absence of anything else to do, I'm going to take it.
Can he play then bishop C5?
Queen takes B4. No, rook B1, surely. Well, okay. In the absence of anything better to do, let's take the pawn. Okay, ties White up a bit. Agreed, but I'm threatening bishop G5, aren't I? Probably.
So bishop H6. What has he got in store for bishop H6?
Beats me.
Got nothing. If he plays bishop H6, he can't play queen B4 because of rook B1. And if he takes on c5, you're probably going to take and win. But can he go to the end game after that? Bishop h6, bishop to c5, b to c5, queen b2.
What do you want to do here? Bishop takes c5, b takes, queen b2.
Yeah.
Well, that must lose.
Yeah.
I mean, if I just take it and go rook b1.
I just played bishop h6.
That's game over, isn't it?
Yeah.
Take it, rook b1. That's finished.
Okay.
Well, he must be getting short of time. That's all I can think of. Is black short of time? Do you have any idea?
Black has 15 minutes.
Why not take it? That's an important pawn, isn't it?
The white has 28 minutes left on the clock, so it's all going down there.
Quick check. 3.29. It's getting worse. Okay, let's try the cheapo version. Rook h7.
Bishop g5.
Yeah, this is what I was afraid of. Now I have to take on c5.
One takes.
Yeah, take on h5.
Am I not winning this?
I would think you're winning very easily, but okay, still opposite colour bishops. b1 perhaps?
Yeah.
All right, queen
c6.
Queen e8.
Queen e8 is the only move. And are you threatening queen h8? So can I put the bishop on h6?
I'm not threatening queen h8, am I?
So can I play bishop f6?
Bishop f6 looks very strong.
And now I need.
Well, black can't do anything. I mean, I just don't see what's going on here. Queen g8 maybe?
Yeah.
No, can't even play that. c6.
Yeah.
Can't do anything. Just get the queen on, I don't know, e5 perhaps. No, that's very uncomfortable. So what actually happened? Any moves?
No more moves.
I think he's in for it. Just a kind of bluff. It's very hard to see a move. Very hard. Anybody see a move? Just check it. I don't think. Yeah, it's just showing a very bad position. Black can grovel, queen e8, rook h7. Either of those moves is horrible. So unless something strange happens, it looks like Hawkins is going to go to 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Which you can't really say it's a surprise. It's very strong. What did he do?
He has played your move rook h7.
He played it.
Yeah, that's his best move, isn't it? I mean, not his best move in the sense, in this situation, he's got to wait, isn't it? And now it's
up. Bishop g5 looks tremendously logical.
Can white now play g3, king g2, and I mean.
It all looks very fishy. 2 pawns down for nothing. He's just trying to fish around for some chances. So we've got that game in progress. Williams, Tan, any more moves?
Williams.
Knight b8 was the last move.
Knight b8, bishop into b6.
Yes.
Bishop b6, knight into a6.
Yeah. Bishop a7.
Bishop a7, knight c7.
Yeah.
Bishop e3, black is thinking.
Bishop e3.
Yeah, how to hold this to a draw.
Well, okay, he's got to do nothing. Just put the knight on e6 and go up and down. Yes?
Yeah.
So let's see. So knight e6. All right, how are you going to win? I was thinking about this. How is he going to win? Is one Zugzwang position where white has the king on e7? Can he march his king up there? Ravi's off.
I don't think. I think it's going for the long.
Right, let's give it a go. Anyway, let's give it a go. I want to see if
I mean, how long can it go? I mean, another 75 moves. I know one arbiter is going to miss his dinner.
Okay, I'm going to try and get the king to e5. That's my first plan. So
Come back in the morning and see if there's any progress. Oh, the king has gone actually from pawn on h2 has gone to h3, and then he's maintaining all the things.
Well, come on, I want to put the king on e5. That's my plan.
Yeah. And then what? You have.
Well, hoping to run you out of moves.
Yeah, and then.
You're kind of running out of moves there.
If I play knight f8, knight e6.
Right, you just do nothing. Okay, so up we come.
Yeah, knight e6.
All right, in we go. Now.
Knight f8.
Okay, now just a second.
h4 at some point, threatening h5 check.
Well, I think f3.
No, h4. I think it's h4 threatening h5 check at the right moment. And king h5, king f5, that is going to be pretty horrible.
What, 2 against 1? That might be a draw. Knight and 1 against bishop and 2 without a passed pawn. Why isn't that a draw?
So when king, how are you going to defend the f7 pawn? h4 now.
Well, I want to play my pawns to g4
No,
and
I
h5.
understand f3 and g4, and I understand all that. I'm saying h4 is probably straightforward. What is he going to do?
What now?
Yeah.
Well, I've just got to keep passing.
Yeah.
Up and down.
h5 check.
Well, is this a win?
King f5.
Is that a win?
How are we going to stop king f6 and into f7? Has he got any trick up his sleeve?
Might have. Never know. You'll find out when it happens.
Okay, it's going to come to d5. Okay, I'm going to pull my bishop back to d2 in anticipation.
Bishop here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then now king e5, crucial tempo.
Crucial tempo. Back.
King f6, winning that pawn.
To win it.
King f7, bishop e3.
Okay.
Should be bishop c5.
How are you going to win this?
Bishop c5.
Right,
I don't think
okay.
it's not a win.
No, my friend. It's
So what?
not a win.
Are you going to play knight g3?
I am. And with great deal of satisfaction. This is a draw. Okay, I agree. That was lucky. Right, let's go back. Just a few moves. That's nice of you. That's very nice of you to limit it to a few moves. Right, which position? Was that, that's it? Yes. Bishop g5. Oh, this is sad. My poor little king. Why don't you spot that, Ravi? It would save me a lot of anger.
Yeah, I think, we are retired international masters.
Cheapos. Okay, I have to agree that's quite a strong move. At this stage, I need an I-file with my king on, don't I? I don't have one. Okay, yeah, that seems to win. How extremely lucky. Right, let's have another look at this. So, that's the position, right?
Yeah.
Well, what is the position?
So, bishop e3, knight.
He's got his knight on e6, right?
Knight on e6.
That's the position of the game is.
Yeah. I at least know one arbiter is going to stay awake in that hall for a long
It's
time.
going to be a long haul, isn't it? Maybe this is not a win. So king d3.
Yeah. We have a few more moves in the Hawkins. Maybe we should jump into it.
Okay.
Come back after an hour. Nothing changes there. Ladies and gentlemen.
Come on then. Rook h7.
Rook h7. Bishop g5.
Yeah.
Bishop into c5.
Yeah.
B into c5.
Getting these moves right. This is a.
Rook into h5.
My God.
Rook b1.
You've got all these moves
Queen
right.
e8.
Second sight. Queen e8. Yes.
Queen e8.
You can't play that twice.
Queen e8, and he's thinking how to win this one.
See? You saw it here first. Well, I quite like your bishop f6, but of course he does move the bishop slightly out of play.
See, bishop f6 puts the rook out of play. So bishop f6, he can't move the queen, he can't move the rook.
I mean, what if I play here queen c3, ignore everything, ignore your threat?
Queen c3, queen h8.
Bishop h4.
Ah, many possibilities there.
I mean, you can't move away too far from the queen side, surely. You're just going to get mated yourself. Once I get the queen to the b file, Blacky's toast, isn't it?
No, but does he have to do force all that? I mean, could he not find out something?
Well, my plan is to get the queen to the b file, right? I mean, this kind of diversion on the king side, that's something Black's trying, not White. Why not queen c3? Pardon me?
It was C6 and reserve and white.
Well, I needed to stop the mate. That's the first thing. Queen C3 must win, mustn't it? And then Queen B4, and go in opposite colour bishop positions throughout the game. You know, when pieces are on the board, you try for the initiative.
So one of the main things is the knight on c4 can't come anywhere. He's played bishop f6.
He did.
Quite nasty, isn't it?
It is nasty. It is nasty because I'm still threatening Queen C3 with no risk. Your queen can't possibly come to G8.
Then c6, queen h7, rook b7, jack, king c8, possibly.
Well, I just take on B7 and go bishop H4, don't I?
Yeah.
So I can always block it.
Yeah.
The only slight drawback of bishop f6 is it kind of takes the bishop off a diagonal. But I mean, I imagine, you know, a move like knight d2, just getting rid of the knight is very logical, isn't it?
Yeah, but
and go to the opposite colour bishop.
But now all white has to do is to improve his position, isn't it? He's got to play queen c3, queen b4.
Well, on knight d2. Black has no moves, does it? If I get rid of that knight, I'm swapping off the only active piece of the enemy.
He's played king c8 now.
Okay,
taking away the c6 threat.
Well, I quite like knight d2. What's wrong with it?
What about queen c3?
Well, what about it? Okay, it's a question
Queen
of
c3,
choice.
queen g8, queen b4. He's stuck on both sides.
Okay, queen c3. Thinking about that line you just suggested, why not? It's just lost.
I've seen one variation. He's played queen c3 straight away. And there's a very nice way to win. Once he puts his queen on d4 and the queen on d7, he's got that c6 punch. Queen at c6, queen f8 check, king d7, queen d8 mate, king c7, queen d8 mate.
Very nice. Okay, let's see it then. So the queen comes to c3. So okay, what even can you suggest?
I guess he's got to go queen d7 and then queen
d7.
b4.
Okay.
Queen c6. Queen c6 is the best bet.
Queen c6. All right.
Yeah.
Queen b4.
Queen b4, and then he can't play queen d7. He's got, so he had to play queen d7.
Let's just see this. Let's just see this beautiful variation in with the pawn. That's the key.
So queen
and
c3.
it's mate on d8.
Yeah. Can I play queen d7, and then if you play queen b4, I put queen on c6. Then you have nothing threatened. You don't
Queen
have
c3. You're suggesting queen d7.
Yeah.
Queen b4. And now? Well, queen c6 perhaps? Yes? Okay, now how do I improve my position? I mean, I could just go knight d2, couldn't I? And exchange off your knight.
Oh, there's another little trick about queen c3 is how you can't get on to a5. So I agree, he might just come and exchange that knight and then everything will fall down.
But I mean, in a position like
He's
this...
also got knight g5, knight on f7. Isn't it?
Ah, that's clear, isn't it? Yes, what about that? That's nice. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Okay.
Well done. Award yourself a book. That is the way to do it. That cleans up, doesn't it? Because as soon as he moves the queen, c6 is crushing.
Chess tips for improving chess play.
That's more like, that's what you need. That's what you need. Staying awake throughout the session. Is there a book called that? Yeah, that wins. So, queen c3, has he made any moves?
No.
Right, so this looks like a stone cold win.
Yeah.
In
What
order
do
to
the
avoid that
engines
c6 sacrifice,
What
black's got to
does the
play here.
engine say?
Engine, after knight g5, plus, let me guess, 4. Ooh, worse. Worse, it's looking very bad. Minus 5.5, 5.6. Lost, in other words. So that's the way to do it, folks. Stick the queen on b4, and then he's got c6 to worry about. He's got a blockade with the queen, move in with the knight, and take off all his pawns. And that's probably what will happen.
And the rook is just a spectator. It can't come in anywhere.
And really, if you think about the whole game, Fernandez, in a way, kind of deserved it. It just shows you can do that against lesser players. You can fiddle around like that, and they'll misplay the attack. But somebody like Hawkins or very strong players, they like nothing better than to get the attack.
Okay, let me try rook h4.
What now? Now?
Yeah.
Okay, in.
That's what I was hoping. Rook into d4.
You're hoping for that. You're hoping for it. Oh, okay, check.
Okay, I wasn't hoping for that. No, the point is I can't even take on d4. Let me spawn.
Well, you can keep pretending you've got something here by sacrificing the exchange.
Right, interesting games today.
All right, okay, so it looks like a decent place to stop the commentary. Looks like Hawkins going to win. Perk M's was tame. Williams tan. One more look at this before we go. Any more moves?
Just Bishop e3, 96.
Yep.
King d3, 97. Just fine.
Knight where?
G7.
Right. Well, it doesn't change very much, does it? Doesn't change very much. Can we place him in any sort of Zugzwang position? I don't know. I don't know. That's, as Ravi says, something for the future, way into the evening. So that's it for today, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching online. Thank you for watching here in Aberystwyth. We're back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. On one day, the chief executive of the ECF's coming to answer questions. I think it's on Friday. We're starting a bit early, so if you've got any questions for him online, we can monitor this online. If you've got any questions for Phil Eyre about the ECF policy or whatever, you can ask them here. On Friday, we're going to have a little conference. We'll probably start about 2 o'clock, so you'll have an hour to quiz Phil Eyre about ECF policy. Now, isn't that exciting? Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. All the best.